Go ahead. Scare me.
You afraid of the house? I thought you said there's nothing to worry about.
I don't like this.
Let's get out of here. I'm all alone here, and I don't think this guy's kidding around.
What are you afraid of?
I wonder if he really needs hedge clippers to chop off their heads. Come and get me.
Alex,
Help me!
do it!
Are you ready to be scared?
Hey, Robert Long. Hey, Afro. So sorry for the delay. I thought I was going to get some peach cobbler from the Peach Cobbler Factory here in Louisville, and as it would have it, when you're really looking forward to something, Grubhub canceled your order because, like I told Steve, probably some lazy ass just didn't want to get it ready for us this late, and they said they weren't able to fulfill the order. So I might try again in the day. They refunded my order. So sorry for I see Super Bowl Pepsi. It's old Curly Jaws, but he's Super Bowl Pepsi guy right now. So I'm gonna add him here in a second as soon as I get through grumbling. So that's why I was a little bit delayed. I looked at the clock and I was like, I was in there griping to Steve that they wouldn't deliver from the Peach Cobbler Factory, and I was disappointed because I was looking forward to peach cobbler. But anyways, I guess I can order it another time. But in any event, I came up with this thing last minute. I thought it's Valentine's Day. Why don't we do a Valentine's Day special on why people love horror? And I thought I would share some of my things. I'll let old Curly Jaws share some of his experience and why he loves horror. And anybody can join on the stream at any time. I have the invite in the chat, and I can always put it in there again for anybody that doesn't want to go searching through the chat if they come in here later. But I thought, well, why don't I do that? I haven't ever done one of these things, and feel free to share your horror experiences or why you love horror in the chat if you don't want to comment on live. That is fine as well. But the little intro I had there, I know I said I wasn't going to show trailers anymore, but hopefully I won't get flagged for that little thing, because I as I said before, they cut off my stream for whatever reason. I guess they thought I was showing the whole damn movie or something. They thought I was showing all of My Bloody Valentine, and I wasn't. But when I actually appealed it, they said, oh, you didn't break any community rules, and they put my stream back up. But of course, you can't fix it where they've cut it off. So that was basically me, though, saying what the hell, because I couldn't figure out why they cut me off, because I didn't feel like I was doing anything wrong. So yeah, I think Afro I'll be good for now, but I wanted to show that After Midnight trailer because for those of you that might not be familiar with the film After Midnight, it's a 1989 anthology horror film. And it starts out with a college professor teaching a class called The Psychology of Fear. And he basically says things like, do you want to be scared? Are you ready to be scared? I am. And just the whole movie deals with things that scare us, and so different types of fears. So I just wanted to open up the stream with that trailer. And I also got the idea I might want to do After Midnight as a future watch along. So you guys keep that in your heads as well, in case anybody wants to join me on that one. Whenever I do that one, it may be March or so before I do one on After Midnight. Let's see. Robert Long says, I forgot to tell you that Axel from My Bloody Valentine, Neil Affleck, he does voiceovers on The Simpsons. I did not know that, Robert Long. That's a neat little piece of information. Afro, you say you're all gonna die down here. Famous last words, I guess. Texas, you say join the Dark Order. Oh, wrong string. Afro, you said what? No peach cobbler? Oh, sounds like when I went to do my taxes today and got hit with owing the government a G for clerical error, but I'm not letting it stop me from at least having fun with some peeps. Oh, geez. I still got to do my taxes at least. I hope I don't run into an issue like that. So, anyway, with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and add old Curly Jaws here. Hey, old Curly Jaws, he's getting prepared there. I see.
Well, we had before I hopped on, I saw you was going live. I'm like, I'm gonna, get ready and all that, and I was lighting. I originally had a bomb kind of thing, but I managed to light my hair on fire.
Holy crap!
So it was inflamed right here, and I'm surprised that there's still hair here, but I think it's time for a trim.
It could be.
I also put hairspray in it this morning because I was having it was all wagged out. So and I don't normally put hairspray in my hair. So the one time I do, it manages to do that. So I'm like, no more hairspray. I can't, no.
I hope you're okay. Are you okay?
Oh yeah, I didn't feel it. I was just like, what the fuck? Because I didn't notice it at first, and I'm like, I started smelling burnt hair, and I'm like, what the fuck? And I noticed my hair's on fire. I'm like, God damn. So I'm over like patting it out, and it's like, I'm like, Jesus Christ.
I mean, I know you want to be like Kane Hodder on Curly Jaws, but don't burn yourself. Let's not do
That's
that.
why I use the name on here, fucking Super Bowl Pepsi Jackson Jaws, because Michael Jackson famously had his hair, well, not the Super Bowl, I think. It was actually in a Pepsi commercial.
Pepsi commercial,
yeah. Where he caught his hair, the whole famous hair caught on fire. Luckily, my was not as bad as his.
Yeah.
But that was I was just like, holy shit, I was not expecting that.
I would imagine not. Hey, Blissful. Wes wants to know, why ain't Steve taking you out tonight, Gator? What the fuck? Well, actually, in Steve's defense, Wes, he took me out, what was it, last weekend or the weekend before last. He took me to PF Chang's. And anybody that knows anything about PF Chang's knows it's super expensive to eat there. It's good food, but it is expensive. So he did take me out, and he got me some flowers, and he got me a very nice card. It was so nice I cried when he gave it to me. So, and not because I was sad, but just because, it's so sweet what the card
did he get you a copy of Evil Dead 2013 on 4K?
No, he didn't. He didn't do that. Let's see. Blissful saying headbands work. I think she might be talking about you, old Curly Jaws, maybe putting a headband on.
Oh yeah, like I might have to. Like it was the front that, like, I guess my hair hangs so low or something. I don't know, but I just noticed my hair was just engulfed in flames, and I'm just like, oh god. I'm like, I'm not going out like that fucking the burning guy. Fuck that. Like, I can't come back and blame it on somebody.
So, hey, TJ. TJ says, why am I not shocked, oh, Curly? LOL.
Yeah, it was like, it would have been better if it could have not have happened on camera. Of course, it had to happen off camera.
Yeah, but I probably would have freaked out if you had been on here with me and like your hair caught on fire. Oh my God.
YouTube, like, we got to take the video down. It's like, guys, catch his fucking hair on fire. Can't have that.
Yeah, we can't have anything like that. Afro, Steve is probably getting close to being in a slumber. He's not quite, because I was just in the bedroom griping because I couldn't get any peach cobbler from the peach cobbler factory. So he wasn't quite asleep yet.
I don't like peach anything, so I probably wouldn't like that.
But do you like banana pudding?
Oh, yeah.
They had banana pudding there too as well. So I was going to get Steve banana pudding because he doesn't like peach cobbler either, but I love peach cobbler. Let's see. Wes says, Steve's a romantic fan of rape cinema. Oh, God. Oh, maybe. I don't know. Steve and his rape cinema, I tell you. Afro, you say I'm going to shave mine myself, maybe on your stream. Oh, yeah. Heck yeah. After are you going to shave your head or are you going to shave it all off? And Blissful says her hair is really long. She's thinking of getting it cut short. Yeah, I don't like to get mine cut too awfully short because it makes my face look really fat whenever I do that. And I look bad enough without cutting my hair off too short. Face looking old. Texas, you say Blissful got a bunch of Valentine's gifts that she's been mind blown by today. I'm sure she did, Texas. You are, it sounds like you're really good to that girl. Just keep it up, buddy. That's what I say. So I am going to, I'll let Curly Jaws or Super Bowl Pepsi Jackson Jaws, I'll let him entertain you guys for just a second. I had meant to get me a glass of wine for the celebration. I've done Moosehead. Now I'm going to switch to wine actually for Valentine's Day. So I will return in just 1 second.
She's actually going to go get some Jaeger, y'all. She's going to go get some Jaeger and some Red Bull, and she's going to drink some Jaeger and Red Bull. She's going to get Jaeger bombs all fucking night, bulls. Well, let's see what the chat has to say. Texas. Oh. But yeah, my fucking. I don't know if it's noticeable or not. Like, I definitely need to get it fucking cut though. I was gonna let it grow out longer, but shit. I don't know if I want to make the chance of catching my hair on fire again. I mean, as long as I don't use fucking hairspray, I should be all right. I don't think it because they really like it could it went like it could doused in flames. You got the Jaeger?
No, I haven't done Jaeger bombs in a long, long time. I think the last time I did any Jaeger bombs, I was around CK and Uncle Bill.
Sounds about right.
That was a long time ago. Because I don't think either one of those two guys do a lot of drinking anymore. I know CK doesn't. But no, I'm actually having some confetti. This is like confetti pink Moscato that you can get from Olive Garden. It's supposed to be a nice old Italian wine, a sweet wine, which I like my wine sweet. I don't like those dry wines.
See, I just be chugging it out of the bottle.
I'm
But
trying. I'm trying to be a little classy. I've got my wine glass here. Actually, this is not
we
my
we
wine
we
glass.
got the most classiest person on YouTube and the most unclassiest person ever in the
Oh,
history of.
you're not unclassy on Curly Jaws. So Blissful says that Texas really blew her mind with the gifts. Well, hey, Crash. She said, Happy Valentine's Day, Dana, and no Curly Jaws.
Crash Holly's in the house. We miss Crash Holly though. Rest in peace, Crash Holly.
TJ says, How is Jaeger still around, but Zima went out of business? Ha
Jaeger's fuck. I haven't had Jaeger in a hot minute, but I like it. Like Jaeger bombs are good. Like, I mean, I drink. I can drink it straight. A lot of people a lot of people look at me like, how do you drink Jaeger at all? I'm like, I would put it over Fireball. Like, Fireball tastes fucking awful to me. I used to like that, but
I love Fireball whiskey, and I'm actually out of Fireball whiskey. I got to get me some more.
did you see that the big lawsuit with them and the little mini bottles not being real whiskey or some shit?
Oh, I don't drink the little bitty ones that often. Usually, I'll get me a bottle about that big from
Like I don't even know why people buy the mini bottles. Like unless they want something like to sneak into like a concert or something.
Right. Very rarely have I drank the little ones, and it's just been one, so I can't really tell. I mean, I definitely don't want to get drunk like I did during that champagne and bullets thing. People still text me about that. Oh Lordy. Yeah, that's what happens when you drink too much of straight Fireball whiskey.
It like the only thing that was like you would have to be like a really like a movie that deserves that again, like for you to do that to yourself.
I just said I'm retired from doing that. I'm not going to do that anymore. I mean, Dirk was throwing money left and right at Dead Pit, and Uncle Bill was kind of egging me on, drink, 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 chug it, chug it, chug it. And so the more I drank, the worse it got, because then I got where I just didn't care, and I just kept on and on. And
See, yeah, like I don't really. I'm more of a smoker. Like I went to a bar for a guy's 70th birthday party. I drank like 2 beers. I smoked most of the night. Like I'm not like a heavy drinker like I used to, especially now that you can buy it like anywhere. Like like we had like it's like there's no reason to drink like unless it's like a special occasion or if I'm at a party or a bar.
mm-hmm. Yeah, I try not to get drunk on it. Now, see, I'll drink this wine and then I'll stop tonight. Or, during these Canadian like Valentine's Day things, I had been drinking one Moosehead. And of course that's beer. And normally I don't like beer, but
Moosehead's good though.
Moosehead to me tastes like Rolling Rock.
Rolling Rock's good too. Like
I
a lot of
don't mind Rolling Rock, but most of the beer that I've tried to drink tastes like I would imagine piss would taste like. And I've never drank piss, but that's how I imagine that it would taste like if you did drink it.
like I wouldn't I'm not like I'm not a beer snob. Like I would pretty much like it had to be something pretty awful for me not to like it. Like I like Heineken. I like Rolling Rock. Those are my favorites. I do like dark.
Heineken.
What?
I've never had Heineken before.
Heineken's good. My dad doesn't like it. He thinks it tastes like moose piss. So he's like any beer I like, he thinks is terrible because he likes Bud Light and all that. Like I like, but I also like I like dark beer. I like or not Heineken, but or yeah, or am I thinking of something else? There's a dark beer I like. Guinness. I love Guinness.
Now you know where I don't drink Guinness, but I have gotten it to make like a stew with, like an Irish stew. and you put Guinness in it, and it makes it
Mm.
really rich and
Huh.
hearty tasting. So
I like Guinness and ice cream.
never tried that.
That's good. A Guinness Irish shake. Get some Guinness beer.
Mm.
Maybe we can do that for the Leprechaun thing, like talking about all the Leprechaun movies, like what
Yeah.
Rain and are talking about. We can get like the Irish beer shake, and I'll send you the recipe for it. It's only Hershey syrup or any hot syrup you want. Any it can be main brand, don't have to be Hershey, whatever. Caramel syrup, vanilla ice cream, Guinness, and yeah, and just there you go. There's your Irish shake. It's freaking awesome.
I might make some Irish stew, and we'll just have a big blowout of Irish things.
That'd be talk about all the great Leprechaun, because I love all of them except for Leprechaun Origin.
You didn't like
Fuck
that?
Leprechaun Origin. You're gonna hear. I'm not. You're gonna hear me all bitch about Leprechaun Origins when that time comes. But you're in for, because I'm gonna rewatch. I'm gonna rewatch all of them, giving up to that stream we do in when that does happen. When St. Patrick's Day around that time.
Speaking of doing streams together, TJ is doing a stream with me tomorrow night on the first season of Tales from the Dark Side. We're going to do an episode breakdown for the first season, so you guys can look forward to that. I think TJ's still up for it. He hasn't told me otherwise, so.
I have not seen that show.
Oh, wow. So Afro says, I've got some nice wine here. Yeah, it is. It's pretty good if you like sweet wine. And Wes says, oh, Curly is a touch of class, boss. And Blissful says you're going to need a conditioning hair mask for that singed hair. That's a woman's perspective on it there, oh, Curly Jaws. And Wes says he always keeps Jaeger in the freezer. It's a great cough syrup. Well, actually, believe it or not, Fireball whiskey's a great cough syrup too, in my opinion.
I used to mix Fireball whiskey and chocolate milk together. That's good.
I used to drink, speaking of chocolate drinks, I used to drink the mudslide.
Yeah, those are good.
They're already pre-mixed at the liquor store, and you get them. I like those.
They had a chocolate wine I saw, and I'm thinking about getting that.
I'll tell you a funny story about me when I first started drinking those mudslides. I was still living with my parents at the time, and I had drank 2 or 3 mudslides, and my dad was out. He had went to town or something. He came back home, and I came out of my bedroom, and I was just like I'd been drinking 2 or 3 mudslides and watching movies or something. I came out of my room, and my dad said, "Have you been asleep, Dana? Your eyes look like you've been asleep." I was like, "No, Dad, I haven't been asleep." I was old enough to drink, but I didn't. My dad had 2 brothers that were alcoholics, and one of his brothers ended up dying because of it, my Uncle Johnny. So Dad's not real big on alcohol, needless to say. And so I always tried to not necessarily hide it from my dad that I drink a little bit, but I just didn't like to say, "Oh, hey, Dad, look at all these mudslides I'm drinking," or, "Look at all this alcohol I'm drinking." When I started going to the conventions and drinking a little bit, I didn't like Dad to know about that either because I was afraid it would hurt him. Guys, I'm going to step away 1 second because I think I hear Brandon barking, and he's going to keep Steve away. I promise I'll be right back.
Hey, we'll buy it. Let's look at the chat real quick. Let's see what's going on. Friday, but oh, Curly is a touch of class.
Oh, let's see here. TJ says, "How about some Goldschlager?" I don't know. I've never.
Oh no, fuck Goldschlager. That shit's terrible. I've had that. That's most overrated drink I think I've ever had. Everybody goes on and on about Goldschlager, saying it's amazing. I'm like, it sucks. It tastes awful. I don't like it. Like and I would never drink that in a million years ever again.
So Wes says Dana didn't drink at all when we first met her. Well, that's not entirely true. I had drank some, and I don't put the blame on those guys because I started drinking more. It's just I don't know. It's just something that happens. It wasn't like it was peer pressure or
They're just influencers.
I mean, it just became what it was. You would go the more and more I went to conventions, it seemed like, it wasn't peer pressure, but it seemed like everybody else was drinking.
Uncle Bill just has a thing of Jaeger to your face. You're gonna drink this new.
He did it was funny because I think it was the Halloween party that we all went to at Jenny Wiley. I'm sure that Wes remembers that. So I think Wes's dad rented a cabin, or maybe Wes rented it or something. But anyway, a bunch of us went to Jenny Wiley and stayed in a cabin, and some of us stayed overnight. But everybody was drinking beer, and there was coolers of beer and stuff like that. And I brought some stuff, and I believe that Aaron or Wes or both of them had stuff to make Jaeger bombs. And so I remember Aaron saying, "Somebody needs to come up here and drink some Jaeger bombs with me." And he's like, "Dana, get up here and drink a Jaeger bomb with me." And I'm like, "All right, I'll drink one."
No, you're gonna drink 50.
And I think there was a convention we were at, and me and Steve were like hanging around with Wes and Aaron, and I think they wanted me to drink one then.
You know what's funny? The convention I went to, the first time I met you, Steve, and the guys, I wasn't even old enough to drink.
Yeah, well, I remember Steve telling me one time that he, and I hope this doesn't get anybody in trouble at this point in time, because I'm sure Critter Fan is old enough to drink now, but the guy that goes by Critter Fan, he was underage, and Steve bought him a drink years ago at a convention, and I was like, "Oh, that's naughty, Steve, naughty." He said, "Well, I didn't know." He said, "I thought he was old enough to drink." Let's see. So Blissful says, "After my last lost weekend, I gave up drinking." And Texas said it was for the better. Well, in some cases you reach a point where it's, like with Steve, he says he generally doesn't drink anymore because he says it doesn't do anything for him anymore. When he was younger, it used to, he used to have fun.
Yeah.
And now he says all it does is put him to sleep. So what's the point? There's no point in it. After you say shepherd's pie and drink some flowers. Yeah, shepherd's pies are good. I like them. TJ, you say the hornswoggle leprechaun sucks.
It does fucking suck. It's we're gonna trust me. When the time comes, when we do the stream, I'm gonna shit all over that fucking movie. I'm gonna break it down like Hulk Hogan. I'm gonna give it the leg drop.
Wes says Steve is going to try to stay up late Thursday night, boss. Do you think he can make it? I don't know. I think we should start taking bets on that about whether he can stay up late. I swear I'm going to kill Brandon if he doesn't quit doing that. Now he's getting Sammy started.
Mm-hmm.
But I should just say screw it because Steve is off on vacation this week. So He doesn't need all that sleep, does he? I don't think he does. Hey, Darren. TJ, you say you rewatched the whole first season episodes last night, so you're ready. I got to catch up then. Let's see. So I promise we're going to get started talking about why we love horror here in just a second. Avro says TGI Fridays and TGI Fridays mudslides rock, and that's actually the brand that I got at the liquor store. I used to make them by the gallon. Lots of ice died. Lots of ice died in the making. Oh, good Lord. Sammy's howling. Afro says, no gold flakes, please. And it's like drinking from the devil's penis. I've never heard it put that way. But
I just never was a Goldschlager fan. It's so overhyped. It's terrible.
Well, Wes, I don't think Steve was a full-blown alcoholic. I mean, now, unfortunately, his dad was an alcoholic when he was alive, but that's, I don't think Steve was ever an alcoholic. Steve had a little bit too much fun with his alcohol at times when he was real young, like way before I met him. AJ7, you say Steve is going into hibernation this week. Yeah, he might be. And TJ says he took down notes. Cool, TJ. So, are you going to show me up if I don't have all the nitty gritty on all the Tales from the Dark Side episodes? Okay, so now we're going to get started, and you guys feel free to put in the chat too your thoughts on why you love horror, what got you into horror, what got the whole thing started. So I'm going to hand it over to old Curly Jaw since he's my guest on here tonight. And you want to share your thoughts with us about why you love horror and what got you into it and all that good stuff?
Sure, I would love to. What really got me into horror is when I was a kid. Like the first horror film I ever saw was Scream. As a baby, as an infant, like I saw Scream, and I've seen Scream multiple times, and Scream is probably at least in my top 5 favorite horror films of all time. Scream has a space in my heart. That's why I'm so excited that it got the revival, and we're getting another Scream 6, which I hate. Okay. Which I hate that they're just calling it Scream again. It doesn't even have a no 6, no Scream, Ghostface Takes Manhattan. It's just called Scream. Like, that's confusing as fuck.
Yeah, it
so
actually...
now not only did we got Scream from 96, Scream from 2020. When the last one come out? Last year? The year before that?
Something like that. I can't even remember.
So that Scream 2022, I think, was the last one. And then, or Scream 2020, I don't remember. And then the new one is just called Scream. So we got 3 movies in the franchise called Scream. I don't like that.
There's a really old movie called Scream that has nothing to do with the Scream franchise.
Yeah, that one, I know there's a fan, I don't know who loves that movie, but there's a big fan who loves that movie. I've never even seen it.
It's boring as shit, in my opinion.
I've never seen it. So there's 4 films titled Scream. So, like, it's ridiculous. I hate that people can't call it, like, Scream Ghostface Takes Manhattan or something. Just, like, call it Scream 6.
Yeah, I wouldn't care if they called it Scream 6. It would make more sense than to keep calling stuff Scream.
So, what is the next one going to be called? Scream 2? Like, or not even 2, it's just going to be called Scream. Like, they're just going to keep using the same name, and I'm like, eventually that's going to confuse the fuck out of people.
Yeah.
Like, like, kids nowadays are going to be like, oh, I'm gonna go show my grandkids the Scream for. We're gonna watch Scream, Scream 2, Scream 3, Scream 4, Scream, and Scream again.
TJ's saying the 6 is at least part of the title.
Where does it like? I never even saw
I'm
the 6
guessing
in the title.
he's saying that maybe it's like a Roman numeral. I think he means like the V and the I, like reverse.
Oh, see, but you can't really pay like that. It looks shitty. That like I don't like that. See, I like when horror movies used to, and that's the thing. Like what I love about horror movies, when horror movies would actually have the numbers after the title of the like
Yeah.
Halloween, Halloween 2, Halloween 3, Season of the Witch. Even though it had nothing to do with Michael, at least we'll call it 3. Would have made more sense to call that one Season of the Witch, but okay. Halloween 4, we'll put a little title after it. Halloween 5, a little title after it. Halloween 6, I think they used the number 6, did they, for Curse of Michael Myers?
I think so. I want to say they did.
And then we get to Halloween H2O, which I give it, they went clever with it. It's like, we'll put 20 years later, hint, it's a sequel to and then we get to Halloween Resurrection, which I love Halloween Resurrection. I love that movie, but I don't like the name of it.
Mm.
That should have been called Halloween. I think that was the 8th or 9th one.
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, like I'm just.
TJ says, blame Halloween 2018 for this.
Did Halloween 2018 start? Yeah, that's the one who started this whole trend of using the same name because now everybody does it.
Yeah, everybody thinks it's cool now, at least.
Which I didn't like when remakes did it. Like I hated when they did it with remakes because I'm just like I just don't like that. That's one of my pet peeves when it comes to horror movies, using the same name over and over again. At least add a number or add something to make it not related to the original.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
But anyway, that rant just okay. Sorry about that.
It's okay. Yeah, that's a valid rant. I think that is a very valid rant.
But Scream would I would watch Scream, loves Ghostface, loves Scream. So then I would be scared of horror movies for the longest time as a kid. Like I didn't want to watch them. Like I was terrified of the covers of them. Like the cover that terrified me as a kid. I didn't like looking at the original Nightmare on Elm Street cover. I couldn't look at it. But honestly enough, when I got over my, I guess you could say, fear of horror films as a kid, was I think it was really was Seed of Chucky, seeing that and just laughing at it, how it's Seed of Chucky. So then I would go back and watch the other Chucky films and loving those, and then I think Chucky and Scream is the big reasons why I really love horror films and why I got into horror films. Also, my grandmother.
Now that's interesting that you bring up your grandmother, and it makes because usually people don't bring up grandparents when they talk about horror movies ever.
She loves Stephen King.
No.
She loves Stephen King. She loves horror. She loves those murder mystery shows. She watches those all the fucking time.
Well, see, I would have to say though that I keep forgetting the generation you're from till you say things like that, because your grandmother is probably a younger generation grandmother. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
so
she's 72.
That's still not really old though.
No, not really.
Because my parents are in their 60s. They'll be 67 in October. I'll be 47 in June, and they'll be 67 in October. So, but my parents don't like to read. They don't like to read books and stuff. They'll read the newspaper or whatever, something short. But I was the one that always liked to read books, novels, and true crime and stuff like that. But so Afro says that his grandma loved Elvira. So that's interesting too.
Yeah, my grandma, she loved The Exorcist, the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like all those. Well, she loves the more bloodier, the gorier the horror film, the she loved it. She's like, I love them gory.
That's awesome. See, I think about my grandparents, and my grandparents are or were old school. Like my granny, my mom's mom, she always like, even when my mom was watching the slashers and stuff like that, because my mom started out watching Friday the 13th when it came out on cable. She watched Friday the 13th and stuff, and my granny was like, "Oh, I don't know how y'all watch that stuff." I mean, my granny at the time, she was a typical older lady.
Yeah.
And so, and she was like, "Oh, I used to watch that old true crime stuff, and that stuff scared me to death, and I had to quit watching it." She watched so much of it, she was convinced my granddaddy was gonna kill her or something because she kept watching like those true crime things about men killing their wives and stuff like that, and it just scared her and gave her nightmares. But so any other tidbits you want to share with us about you and horror movies?
I think I'll let you talk a little bit. Let you let you talk a little bit.
Okay. So I've told some of these stories before on different streams, so I hope this does not bore anybody. I was kind of hoping more people will want to come in live on the stream. I know TJ had a busy day, so I figured he would. But I thought maybe, I don't know, Wes might want to come on here or something, but he may be tired too. So anyway, y'all have to hear some of my boring stories and retreads over stuff. But my mom, like I said, my mom she used to be a huge fan of slasher films and stuff like that. So I would have to say my mom was probably why I wanted to watch horror, because I used to watch a lot of horror movies with her. Hey, it's Slimer. And also, and Steve didn't know this until I started telling him about it. And like when we did the commentary for prom night many moons ago, I mentioned that I remembered going to the drive-in with my parents and remembered not seeing all of prom night, but I remembered the beginning of prom night where the kids caused the little girl Robin to accidentally fall out the window at the beginning. I remembered that part. So I think, there were several drive-in movies that I remember pieces of, not only prom night, but Death Ship. I didn't see the stuff like The Exorcist, or The Gates of Hell, aka City of the Living Dead. But I would hear about these things. Like mom and dad told me, or dad primarily told me the story about when him and my mom went to see The Exorcist at the drive-in. There was another couple with them when they were watching it. And so my dad said that the guy, the other couple, the guy part of the couple, was covering his eyes during almost the whole movie because he was so scared of it. And now my dad won't watch things like that. He won't watch any movies about possession. It doesn't have to necessarily be devil possession. Any kind of thing where some being takes over somebody else, it gives him the heebie-jeebies. He just, but back then he could watch it. And he also told me stories about him and mom when they were dating, I think. They went to a lot of drive-in movies. And they went to a werewolf movie one time. And it was warm weather. So dad had the car window down and he had his arm propped up on the window. And, they had the speakers in the window at that time. And so, he was just watching the movie and paying attention to it. And right when a scary part of it, I guess the werewolf jumped out or something. somebody that he knew walked by him and grabbed his arm and scared the shit out of him. And he told me, I remember him telling me about the gates of hell. And he kept telling me about this movie that him and Mom went to see when they were dating. Or maybe it probably was after they first got married or something, but it wasn't one that I went to with them. Maybe they thought that one would be a little bit too much for me. And they didn't know anything about Lucio Fulci, the director, or anything. It was just at the drive-in, and they went to see it. So I remember growing up, my dad telling me about this movie, or a guy gets his head drilled, or flying maggots, all this stuff. I was like, oh man, I missed the greatest horror movie ever made. And so when I got older and started going to the different video stores, Curly Dolls will be glad to know where I found a big box copy of Gates of Hell was at a video store in Indiana. It was actually in Tell City, Indiana. And I was like, oh my gosh, I found the holy grail of horror movies. Because this is the movie my dad's been telling me about for years, and now I'm finally going to get to see it. And so, of course, I took it home. I rented it, took it home, and I absolutely loved it. And I was like, Dad, I'm watching that movie that you told me about. And he just laughed, But not only does it have flying maggots and a guy getting his head drilled, but it also has a woman, and I kid you not, this happens in the movie, barfing up her entire intestinal tract. And if you don't believe me, watch Gates of Hell, aka City of the Living Dead, and you will see it.
I've never watched Gates of Hell, but knowing that, I need to watch it.
I'd love to hear what you think about it. So the other movie that I was able to rent from this video store in Bell City was I Spit on Your Grave. The original I Spit on Your Grave with Camille Keaton. And I got a precursor to me renting that story. And some people may have heard this story before. That my parents did not restrict me too much on what I watched growing up. Most horror movies they would let me watch. But as most people know that know anything about the original I Spit on Your Grave, it's traditionally not really a horror movie. It's more of an exploitation movie, and it does have a very vicious group of rape scenes. And so I'm glad that my parents didn't let me watch it at the age I was of about 12 years old, let's say. That was one movie that my mom told me, Dana, we think you should wait a little while before you watch it. Wait until you're older, for which I'm thankful for now, because I know what's in that movie now. But when you're 12 years old, imagine you're 12 years old and your parents have asked you to stay in your bedroom with the door shut while Mom and Dad watch this grisly movie, okay? And I'm only hearing the sound effects from it. So, I could hear the boat motor. I could hear the guy screaming. I could hear the guy screaming when he gets his penis cut off in the bathtub. Of course, I didn't know that was what was going on. I could just hear this guy saying, I can't stop the bleeding. Oh, Jesus, I can't stop the bleeding. And he's screaming. And I'm thinking, oh, man, this is great. I'm missing this. I can't stand it because, and I can't even begin to tell you how much I wanted to come out of my bedroom just to see what was going on this movie. So I could hear all of these things. And I didn't know in what context they were. I did not know that the woman was getting revenge for being raped repeatedly, And so, again, I am so glad that my parents asked me to wait till I was older to watch that. Because a 12-year-old, really, are they going to understand fully the implications of a violent rape and what all of that entails. I think it took me to being, 18, 19 maybe, before, I was fully, and I don't think anybody is ever fully prepared for a movie like that. You just either have to take the plunge when you're of age or you stay away from it. It's just one of the two. If you don't think you can handle it, then especially if like watching a woman being violated repeatedly would upset you to the point where you can't sleep or something like that, then I would definitely say stay away from I Spit on Her Grave, Last House on the Left, any of that stuff where it's basically a rape revenge scenario.
Stuff like that today can never get made.
Mm-mm.
No, they'd be like, "What? You want to make that movie?" Like, no.
With the way things are with like the MeToo thing and they used to call films like that misogynistic. They would even call regular horror films misogynistic. Imagine what they would say now if something like that came out.
Yeah, it's like we're gonna re-release "I Spit on Your Grave" in 4K.
Well, they actually did.
That's fucking hilarious that they would even have the balls to release that.
Yeah. In fact, I'll pull it off the shelf and show it to you guys. I do have it.
Say hi to Slimer.
Can you guys try to put that up close where you can see that says 4K Ultra HD and the Blu-ray?
You know what's funny? They got "I Spit on Your Grave" at Walmart in the Valentine's Day section.
That's hilarious.
Which I'm just like, this movie should not be here.
No, I would have to agree with that. I can't believe it's at Walmart at all.
Like, yeah, I'm like, and having it is about like, imagine you're a couple and you're like, oh, let's all these Valentine's Day movies. Let's rent "I Spit on Your Grave." They go home and everybody's getting like in this violent rape scene, and the woman's probably at that point. The woman's like, you picked out this movie at Walmart. She's probably gonna end up leaving.
Yeah, because not all women are like us women that are horror and exploitation fans. If you get your regular run-of-the-mill lady and you try to sit her in front of that, you're going to be in so much trouble.
Oh no, but they wouldn't. They walk right the fuck out. They would not. If you don't know what I like, it wouldn't happen. Like if you're not familiar with the movie, and you're not familiar with the horror genre in general, you're not gonna like the movie. Like if you sit this movie to a non-horror movie person, like you like show them out of nowhere, here I'm going to show you this, they're probably gonna look at you like you're nuts.
Yeah, definitely don't show it to a new girlfriend because you might not have her as a girlfriend any longer.
And don't show say I'm going to show this at the church potluck. On their like screen, like a little projector they have, like we're gonna show it for everybody here, and we're gonna show "I Spit on Your Grave." Like, wait, what?
I'm just having a flashback to one of the characters on South Park where he says, "Okay," I can just imagine him saying, "This is why rape is bad." Okay,
Those are how rape is bad. Okay, you don't do that. It's not going to be good. Okay, don't rape nobody. It's not good for your soul. Okay.
Oh man. So Afro says Gates of Hell is awesome. I agree with you. Totally. Afro, you say Dana just thought this chick had a problem with a small group of guys. I may have when I was a kid, but now or back when I first got to watch it in full, I was like, oh yeah, I get this. I get why she does what she does, and that it's fully justified. And I've said this before. The only group or only one of the guys that I feel a little conflicted about her killing is the mentally handicapped Matthew, because I think at some point he knew better, but in a way he was mentally handicapped, and he thought of these slime ball guys that he was hanging around with. They were his only friends, and he wanted to impress them, no matter how sleazy they were and how stupid. And
It's also like, if you think about it, like, what if he doesn't comply with their like of the right, like, of the, you know, the thing, and like, do they like, maybe he's thinking, oh, maybe they might hurt me or something.
yeah, because the one scene where they find out that he didn't kill Jennifer, like they asked him to after they all raped her, they wanted him to take the knife and go stab her, and he lied and told them he did. When they find out she's still alive, they kick the shit out of him and beat him up pretty much. So, I mean, what was to keep him from doing that if he didn't go along with the crowd, so to speak, and just participate in the rape? Afro says, no, that's a rough watch regardless. It is a very rough watch, and I'm not saying that you got to be a special person or anything. I'm just saying that if you're not used to watching movies like that and you decide you're going to watch it, I hope someone fully prepares you for what you're about to watch before you watch it. You kind of need to ease into that type of film. Okay, Darren, I'll post the link. You're going to jump on audio, so that'll be cool. Let me just put this back in the chat here. Okay, so I got a funny story while I'm waiting for Darren to get on here. A funny story that Steve has told multiple times about I Spit on Your Grave, and I still find it amusing. Back when Steve was still living at home, I don't know if he was, maybe 14 or something, or he might have been younger than that. But his mom went to the video store to get some movies, and she came back with I Spit on Your Grave. And Steve says that his mom thought that was a comedy movie. And he said they all sat down as a family and watched that. His mom, his dad, him, and his sister, who's, 3 years younger than Steve. So if Steve was 14, Debbie would have been 11, 12, something. And I just can't even imagine.
Like, what did they turn it off? Like, they watched the whole movie?
Watched the whole movie. So I'm gonna add Darren on here real quick. Hey, Darren.
Hey, Bubba.
Hey guys, how are you?
Good.
Good.
It's
I thought I'd
Valentine's
jump on.
Day, and I'm drinking my wine, so yes, I am good.
Oh, I'm not drinking nothing after that last time.
That died last time.
Oh god, yeah. I was seriously ill the day after I drank.
So I'm gonna let if Darren doesn't mind, I'm gonna turn it over to him and share maybe some of his horror memories or why he loves horror.
Yeah, absolutely. The first sort of memories was growing up. Obviously, we'd done, you get the old Jaws on TV, so we watched that. I remember watching an early showing of Carrie as well, which I think I've mentioned before. My dad actually saw the shower scene at the start and turned it off, so we couldn't see the rest, me and my sisters. But then a big turning point for me was watching Salem's Lot on TV. Again, I think I've mentioned it before, but that scared the crap out of me. And we actually videoed that because at the time, it must have been 1980, that was shown on UK TV. And I just remember loving it and just playing it because it was in 2 parts. It was, and yeah, I just love the hell out of that, and it sort of gave me the bug. Then my sister was about 5 years older. My one sister is, and her and her boyfriend would go to the local video store, take me along, and we basically just get horror films. And the big thing at that time as well was sex comedies. So I was only about 10. I was watching Porky's, and and when you're so young watching that, you think you're watching porn.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
but yeah, I can remember all them, like Screwballs, Last American Virgin, which I love all them. But yeah, basically just rent, all the early slasher films. My Buddy Valentine, Burning, The Funhouse, Friday the 13th. And I just,
The
for some
Burning
reason, I
was
just
such a
loved
great
them.
movie.
Yeah, absolutely.
I remember watching that when I was a kid on Netflix. I remember the first time I saw The Burning was on Netflix.
Really?
Yeah, that was the first time I ever saw it. I was probably maybe 11, 12. And I was just like blown away by this movie. I always thought The Burning was better than Friday the 13th.
Yeah, I do as well. Yeah.
Like for The Burning not to be a franchise, and I know a lot of people. I think Dana even said a one-off would be it's just fine, but I would have loved to see The Burning turn into a franchise, or even why have they not made a remake of The Burning, like a updated story with Victor Crowley? Fuck, no, wrong character. But yeah, I would love to see The Burning updated and even like maybe a direct sequel to the first one.
Yeah, I think part of me, I've said to Dana before, part of me is glad that they didn't do sequels to it. But then again, I'm quite sad because it would have been good to see one. But certainly with what you just said there, Curly Jaws, a remake would be ideal, I think.
Yeah, like, I mean, what would you prefer, them to remake The Burning or to them to do a direct sequel to The Burning, like, but now, like, so many decades later, he's back?
I would say the remake. I don't know what Dana would say, rather than a sequel.
I'd almost like to see a remake of that just to see what they could do rather than a sequel. And here's why I think that, or I feel that way about it, because I think the time has come and gone for a sequel. I think, if they had done a sequel within at least a few years after the original was made, it would have been good. But can you imagine, like, I don't consider Cropsy, the character of Cropsy, to be supernatural, to have any kind of supernatural element like Jason or Freddy or anything like that. So I just figured that, what necessarily could they have done? I mean, I guess they could say that he didn't really burn to a crisp at the end of the original burning. They could say anything they wanted, because we didn't actually see him just burn down to bones. I mean, technically, he could have made it out of that cave or whatever and still been alive. But can you imagine, though, how freaking old he would be? Like,
like
supernatural element there. He would just be like, he'd be walking around with a cane. What's he going to do? Like, his cane or something?
He's going to fuck him up with a cane. He's like, you're all burnt. Like, what is he going to come after the grandkids of the people from the original movie? Like, it's all that's been done to death. It's like I agree with. I feel like a remake would be the right move. Who would you get to write it, direct it? Who? That's what I would like. Who would give it justice?
Oh God! In this day and age, I'm not sure. To be honest, I don't. I think the remake probably wouldn't happen anyway. Would it, due to the Weinstein? I'm not sure if Weinstein still owns it.
Oh yeah, I'm not sure who owns the rights to it.
That's a good question. Like, whoever owns the rights, like, for them not to take advantage of that, as big as horror is right now, like, doing a Burning remake, I feel like it would be crazy for them to not have remade Madman.
I'm gonna step away for a second.
Like, I'm not even the biggest fan of the movie Mad Men, and for them not to remake that either is crazy.
Yeah, yeah. I'm trying to think now about who I would say to direct a remake. Was a guy who did. Can you remember the guy who did Hush? Is it Mike Flanagan
I think so.
from a few years back? He'd done a kick-ass slasher that was.
They're
he would
probably gonna get like Ronnie.
Oh yeah,
Fucking
they
that'd be
would. They'd probably get someone shit like the guy who's doing the last bloody Halloween film and the one who's doing the new Exorcist, David Gordon Green.
Oh, David Gordon Green. Like, I so far from what I've seen from David Gordon Green, I've liked. So I can't say I'm like I wouldn't be mad at it, but I wouldn't want him to do I don't know how I'd feel about that. I would want somebody else because I feel like David Gordon Green's been all over all over the horror industry here. I want somebody new to take over the mantle or get somebody that hasn't done a horror movie in a while. Like
Yeah,
Dana,
yeah.
after when you left, I was just bringing up who should do the Burning remake if they decided, and I just threw out the name Ronnie Yu.
Well, he might not do a bad job with it. I don't know.
I said Mike Flanagan.
Oh, Mike Flanagan. Yeah. I mean, those are two very good options. I was
Or maybe or a big studio like the people that did the X and Pearl.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they could definitely they can do a good slasher.
Put Mia Goth on the poster for the Burning remake. That put her in the movie. Like that movie would fucking sell.
Yeah.
And I think the Burning would get original horror fans, and horror fans would know the name The Burning. I think they would go out and see it.
I'd love to see him redo that rap scene, an up-to-date version.
Oh yeah, I'd
imagine that,
Mm-hmm.
With the special effects of today. I know, hopefully they do it practical, but you never know. I think that would be a really good thing to see.
Did you? I know I brought up Mia Goth. Did you see that she's going to be in another horror movie? I think it comes out in a few months.
I hadn't seen that.
Yeah, I watched the trailer. I forgot what it was called, but it looked really, really good. Like she is a star in the making when it comes to the horror industry.
Yeah, she's hot right now. She's
her and the girl that plays Wednesday.
That Jenna Ortega.
Jenna Ortega. Her and Mia Goth. Those two are like the top contenders right now.
Ain't she in one that's just been released? Is it Infinity Pool? I thought she was in that. Mia Goth, I might be wrong. I'd have to look that up, but I thought she was in that one. But she is some talent, I tell you.
She blew it away in X. Like I loved X. I thought X was an amazing freaking movie, and like I know I was like I feel like I'm the only one that did not like Pearl at all.
I liked the two of them.
It was okay. I wouldn't say I hated it. It was just okay.
Yeah, I preferred X over Pearl.
When people say they like Pearl over X, I'm curious. I'm like, why? I mean, I feel like Pearl was really like slow, and it was just really dragged out at scenes, and I'm like, okay.
I like certain aspects of Pearl, but I think right after I watched Pearl, I kind of liked it better than X, but then I went back and watched X again, and now I'm back on the X train again, but I don't dislike Pearl. I still like it.
I think X is going to get better the more times I watch it. So I did like it. I did think it was overhyped at the time, but I think now, whether you got all the nods to like Toby Hooper in that film with them eaten alive with the crocodile or alligator.
And even that Chainsaw Massacre nods. I mean,
yeah, exactly. Yeah,
I'm really intrigued what they did with Maxine.
I'm looking forward to Maxine.
Yeah. I'm curious what the plot's gonna be like. Where do they take it after X?
Yeah, Pearl was obviously like a prequel. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure what Maxine's going to be.
Like,
Whatever
because
it
I
be.
mean, they killed all. Like, I mean, they're it'd be funny if the Gator from X comes to follows Maxine all the way to the Chucky.
Like
that
Jaws 4, where
we're
the
gonna do the
shark follows him around.
I feel like that's. What else do you do with Maxine? Does she go crazy and kill? Like, I'm curious what they're gonna do with it.
I would imagine it still be kind of a slasher film, but it might,
Yeah,
I don't think they're going to deviate too much away from that.
Right. I'm like, where do you take it? That's where I'm curious of what Maxine's going to be about. There hasn't been really no more, like, I don't know. There's been a plot put out there yet, or I know there has not been no trailer. I think it was like a teaser.
Is it in there? They're going to be like taking kind of a look at the 80s porn industry.
Yeah.
At that point in time.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But I've not. Yeah. They've not put much about the film, have they, online or anything? So whatever it is or becomes, hopefully be a nice surprise.
Do you think it comes out this year?
I think it was scheduled for this year, isn't it? I might be wrong. Yeah, I think so. Towards the latter part of the year, probably.
I'm curious when they'll drop that.
Be a good one for Halloween, maybe, or
Yeah, it actually would be. It kind of seems like a fall type of release.
So are they just doing this trilogy and that says Ty West's going to be done with this characters, and or do you think it's like, oh, this is just the beginning, we're going to plan even more films with this franchise, it's going to be more than just these three?
I don't know. I think it's going to be hard push to make a fourth. Obviously, it all depends on where this is going to end with Maxine, the ending to Maxine. But I would imagine it'd be free and done. But you never know.
Speaking of Ty West, wonder what he would do with a Burning remake.
Yeah, that's a good call as well. Yeah.
So good at making those. I hate to call them time capsule pieces, but he seems to capture the time period which his films are supposed to take place.
I will say that he did really good with X and Pearl. I'll say that's one thing about Pearl. Say he's great at capturing that time period.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He's probably one of the best I think that's ever done it.
Like,
I can't remember too many.
If they said, "Hey, we want to do a Wizard of Oz remake," you better get fucking Ty West to do it. Like,
see, some people didn't like the House of the Devil movie he did several years ago, but I did, and I thought it captured the 80s really.
See, I still have not checked that out yet. I know Garrett told me I need to check that out.
That's one I've been meaning to watch, but I've never seen it.
Oh, Darren, you need to see that one too. I'd love to hear what both of you guys think about it.
There was a film going back a few years ago I watched called The Sleeper. I think it's got getting on now. It was quite 5, 6, 7 years ago. And that sort of captured the 80s really well. It was set in 1981, I think. I think offhand now the film was 2012, so bloody hell, time flies. But that was decent. I thought that was really decent. Captured the old, early boom of the slasher film.
Mm-hmm.
So that's worth a watch. It's not going to blow anyone away, but decent.
I still need to see that one. I don't think I've seen that one.
Yeah, Joe Bob Briggs does a cameo, so I think you might dig it.
Definitely got to see it now. It's got Joe Bob Briggs cameo in it. So, I was trying to think if there was anything else I could share. I mean, I could share a ton of stuff, but a lot of it people probably already heard me say on other streams. And I don't want to bore people too much with rehashing, but Darren, is there anything else that you wanted to add about horror movies and
Yeah, there's just, like I said about the early 80s got me, I was right bang into it then, got the bug. I remember, pretty vividly getting two VCRs together and recording, going to the video shop, renting 3 or 4 films a night sometimes, just coming home then and just copying them, taking them back. And then you got them for the old collection. I remember the summer, I think it was 1987, so I was about 16 at the time. And the whole summer, that's all I did was rent 3 or 4 films a night, every night, and just made this huge collection of bootlegs. And I remember watching vividly, The Imp, which is the sorority girls in the slime ball Ballorama.
Yeah.
Which we had, obviously called The Imp over here. And, Dream Warriors, I remember the Demons films as well, the 2 of them. So, that, times it to about 1987. And just having the summer of my life, really, just watching horror films. And at that age as well, you haven't got to worry about work. So, you're pretty much just enjoying life for what it is,
Yeah, you don't have adult responsibilities.
Exactly. That's all to come a little bit later. But yeah, good times. Just really good times. I've been a bit like sporadic as well. Then coming into the 90s, the early 90s, I kind of got out of it a bit. The horror film. I'd watch stuff like Silence of the Lambs and stuff like that on the TV. But then it must have been about 90, obviously with the release of Scream, maybe, that I got back into it. And then I started going to watch then, or the I Saw What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and all them, getting into all them. And then, it gradually really got back into it then. I'd say hardcore collecting and all that would have been about 2006, where I heard the Dead Pit Guys for the first time, and that was it then. I've been a collector ever since.
Yeah, you were talking about like renting like 3 movies at a time or something. That reminded me, this was also a video store in Tell City, Video Vault. Do you remember Video Vault, oh Curly Jaws? No? Okay. So at one point in time, Video Vault, it was a huge video store. And they had a pretty good sized horror section at the time that I was going. And they had this deal where you could get 7 movies for 7 nights for $7. And so I would go in there and I would just raid the horror section. And that's actually where I discovered The Burning, was at Video Vault. And I passed it over a bunch of times, and here's why. And I've talked about this a little bit before. The cover, the original cover for The Burning, if you didn't look at it really closely, you couldn't see the shadow of Cropsey with the shears raised up. What you see is the couple in the lake embracing. And so I just kept passing it over. And then one day I actually picked it up, turned it over so I could read the plot synopsis for the movie. And I was like, man, this sounds like it would be really gory. I think I'll take this home and watch it. And I saw that Tom Savini had done the special effects for it. And so I was like, wow, the cover of this VHS tape had me completely fooled about what type of movie this was.
Yeah.
So you can't judge a book or a video or a DVD or anything like that by its cover.
I remember there was this place called Hollywood Video, and I remember going in there, and they had a copy of on DVD, and I remember seeing the cover, and I passed it. I'm just like, what the hell is this? It was Ginger Dead Man. And I was just intrigued by the cover. I never watched it till many, many, many years later, and I'm just loving that movie.
Mm-hmm.
And meeting Gary Busey, who also played as the Ginger Dead Man, did the voice, and was actually physically in the movie in the very beginning, and that was funny how that played out.
So how was that experience of meeting him?
Oh, he was fucking high on something. I don't know what, but he was eating donuts off the floor. Like he dropped a donut, and he started eating it off the like he like picked it up, and started munching on it, and I'm just like, and then I want you to sign, and he's like, all right, I wanted to sign my arm in the arm. Like, I mean, he literally wrote as big as possible on my arm. Hold on, I think I turned my camera off.
Oh wow!
He literally wrote as big as he can on my arm. Gary Busey. Like he literally, like my dad went with me when we met, and he thought he was writing a freaking book on my arm. That's how, like, because he was like Gary Busey.
Yeah, what happened with him at one of the last conventions? Because didn't he get a bit hands on with a lady?
I don't know.
Is that Gary Busey? Yeah, I think he got done. Well, for like allegedly for sexual maybe harassment of a
That's
fan.
going on everywhere, man. That's sexual harassment shit. It's like that's the most talked about. Like, if you noticed that here recently in the last year or two, that's the most like boom, 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 boom. Celebrities, like people that've been in the genre for like just left and right.
Yeah, that's what something I brought up one other stream was, and I hope nobody in the stream when I was talking about it thought I wasn't saying that there weren't some valid sleazeballs out there. But,
oh yeah.
But what I'm talking about is it seems like they're blaming almost every male actor, male producer, male director out there anymore. Every time you turn around, it's somebody, oh, they made advances towards me. They said something inappropriate towards me.
Tim Allen showed his dick to me 20 years ago on the set of Home Improvement talking about Pamela Anderson. And I'm just like, you're Pamela Anderson. You really showed your tits in Playboy plenty, and you're talking about Tim Allen showing his dick 20 years ago. Why didn't you say it? Why didn't you say something the very night? It just baffles my fucking life.
Yeah, and that's somebody that made what? Didn't she make a homemade sex tape with Tommy Lee?
Yeah, it actually got pinched by a workman. It was in her safe. It was at home, and this workman kind of got access to it basically and pinched it, and then he duplicated it for the world to see.
You shouldn't, if you don't want anybody to possibly get a hold of something like that, don't make homemade sex tapes.
And again, you know, you've got to question whether she was like in on it anyway, because it's made, even though she was a big star at the time, Tommy Lee was obviously, that porn tape absolutely catapulted her right to like one of the famous women on the planet at the time.
Exactly, like it's just shit like that, like just baffles the
so
shit
yeah,
out of me.
You can't have it both ways, you know.
Right.
It's like, you know, some of these women will obviously sleeping to get further on in their careers, sleeping with directors and such, but
right.
And then like you
and now there's people going and now there's people going after Leonardo DiCaprio for dating a woman that's like 20 something years old and he's like 40 something.
Yeah, I think she's like 19.
And now they're calling Leonardo DiCaprio a pedophile for doing that. I'm like, she's overage, you dumb fucks.
Yeah.
Like that's like you don't obviously know the definition of the word pedophile.
Yeah, everybody's went just ape shit. I mean, not everybody, but people in general have went ape shit over this stuff. It's just blown completely out of proportion now.
It's killed careers. Like there's some people that will never get work again because of some of this stuff. Like Johnny Depp, Mazer, like really bad. Like it cost him some of his movie roles.
Mm-hmm.
And then he ends up winning. Like it just proves the fact that like Hollywood, like something needs to stop. I don't know what that is, but somebody needs to like lay the fucking ground rule and be like, this needs to stop. We're done.
I think with the Weinstein thing, though, I think once you got it to that level where he was just doing it on a daily basis, then and you've got all these hundreds of women coming forward, then yeah, I think that's fair enough. But when you got the odd isolated and it's just the woman's word against the man, then you can't condemn a man just on that alone. You need evidence, in my opinion. And I don't see this. I'm not saying. I'm not saying I'm against women or anything like that. Not by a long way. But I do feel with the isolated incidents, you do need to have a bit of evidence. Otherwise, you're going to ruin someone's career.
You can't just say, "Oh, it must be true because Harvey Weinstein did this," or
When it's on that level, I was just saying to Curly George. When it's on that level of Weinstein, that's fair enough.
Oh yeah, Weinstein's a piece of fucking shit, but we can all agree to that. But like some of these people, like some like wrestlers, like Matt Riddle got fucked over majorly for this. Enzo Amore got fucked over majorly because of shit like this. There's athletes like it's just it's just ridiculous. Like it's just crazy how times have changed. Like the internet has become the cancer of. In my opinion, the internet is the biggest cancer ever.
Yeah.
I was watching.
The internet's a blessing in a disguise.
Yeah, it's a good and a bad thing. But I was watching not long ago on UK TV. There was a documentary on Ron Jeremy, the porn star, and he's pretty much in the shit now because all these porn stars have come forward now and say he was molesting them on set without their permission, and at conventions and stuff like that. I think they're going to throw away the key with him now, to be honest.
I think,
but on that level, yeah, you've got to say, he deserves everything he gets.
I think TJ brings up a good point here. He says you can't condemn when you don't know both sides. That's my thoughts. We only learn so much as the general public from news and rumors and fourth-party info.
Yeah,
I would have to agree with that. And I make Steve mad sometimes because I don't understand some of these stories that get told. I understand some of these women that have accused different men in Hollywood of doing things to them or being inappropriate towards them. But then you hear their side of the story and what they did. I'm like, a lot of these women were not underage. They weren't children. And some of them didn't even have a career at the time. These people were just like mentors to them or something. But I have to think what I would do in that situation. If some guy, and I'm not saying I'm smarter than them or whatever, but I just would like to think I wouldn't fall for this kind of shit. Let's say some guy that you admire says, "Hey, I want to give you some tips on getting your career started, but you got to come up to my hotel room with just me and you. And when you get up there, they want to offer you drinks, alcoholic drinks, but is what I mean by drinks. And you take them. Why would you do that? I mean, they got to be smarter than that. And I'm not saying they deserve to be taken advantage of, that they deserve to be raped or anything like that. It's just, for the love of God, be smart about things. Don't be so enamored of somebody that you will just, oh yeah, no problem with that. I'll just go up to their hotel room and have some drinks, drink that they could put anything in. And if you're not watching them pour the drinks, God knows what they could put in that drink. Just be smart.
You'd be surprised that some of the big names that have actually, how can I put it, sort of gone along with it and slept with these producers and directors and things like that just to further their career. I bet there's a ton of well-known names that we'll never get told, about.
So
the way things keep going, I think more names are going to end up coming out. Like really big names are going to end up dropping soon.
Oh yeah, absolutely. This is never going to end now. This thing, it's going to get worse and worse.
No, unless they do something majorly to make them shut up and make people stop coming out with this information. But I think the machine's too big now. I think they're not gonna make them shut up now.
So Uncle Raz in here, and he's weighing in on this. He said at this point, a lot of the stuff is being made up, exaggerated, or greatly contorted by a bunch of assholes who are worse than the people they are trying to condemn. And I agree with that, too.
I agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
And he says for the other direction with this Me Too movement, movements of any kind are full of fraud and BS, people looking for clout of some kind. And I agree with that as well.
I agree with that, too.
Yeah. There's money in there, where there's money, there's going to be all sorts of accusations.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's going to say, well, I want to get my hands on some of that money so-and-so got.
Exactly. This is a world now where suing is just,
that's
second nature, basically.
The lawyers, all that they love. It's like, this Me Too movement's the biggest cash grab lawyers ever had.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, I could have a whole stream just on that kind of stuff, but
oh yeah,
you have to be very careful though how you word stuff, because I've got myself in trouble with Steve, like I said, by saying certain things like I've said on here, like, like I say, these women some of them should have been smarter. They didn't deserve what they got. I'm not saying that, but just why on earth weren't they smarter? And now that they're coming out about this stuff, why don't they, I don't hear very many of them telling women how to protect themselves. How don't make the same mistakes I did. Don't go up to some guy's hotel room and have drinks with him. And things like that. They're just like, oh, so-and-so did this awful thing to me, yada, 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 and now I'm getting some money. But they don't ever tell young girls out there or young women out there how to avoid this.
Yeah, again, without going too much off topic, I don't know what both of your thoughts are on that Michael Jackson documentary that came out a few years ago with the two boys.
I see. I get in trouble.
You can say allegedly before you say anything, so you don't get in trouble.
I get in Dutch with Steve over the Michael Jackson thing, because I say a lot of this stuff, it's like a he said, or he said, she said type of thing. Mm-hmm. We weren't there. Yeah. We don't know.
I'm just saying Michael Jackson got fucked over royally by the media, by a lot of people. They just wanted his money.
Yeah, I think, don't get me wrong, I think he was odd. I think that certain things he was doing with having, children in his bedroom, sleeping in his bed. But there's no actual hard evidence that he's actually done anything to these kids, sexually. Right. There's no hard evidence. People are talking. But
no, has any of these kids ever came out like Michael Jackson did this to me? No.
The only ones that did sue him are the parents of, a couple of kids, and they got massive, huge payouts. Because Jackson, I think, was a broken man by the time he went to court and everything with those. But yeah, it's just weird again. Their word against theirs, and I do actually think that led to him, dying, passing away the way he did.
Yeah, and I do agree that Michael Jackson did get odd in later years, and there were a lot of things he said and did that I didn't completely understand. But yet, being odd doesn't necessarily make you a pedophile.
No.
So I don't know. I don't know what to believe about that, because, like I said,
it's definitely a hard one to call, isn't it? Really, I try to sit on the fence with things like this, but unless there's hard evidence, you've got to go, maybe go with the side of Jackson and until it's proven. But I don't know, it's a tough call.
Sorry, guys, I got distracted because Steve was talking to me. I think Brandon had an accident on the phone. If Wes is in here, he'll be wanting to make a shirt again. I think he was going to anyway.
But at least we got a cameo with Steve in tonight.
I don't know. I don't think Steve's in the mood for any cameos. I think he's upset with Brandon because Brandon was making a lot of noise, and I blame myself because I should have went in there and made Brandon come back here with me earlier. Hey, John's in here. Let's see what everybody's saying about this. TJ says, although it's the press that gives these things names, the movement in and of itself starts as a pure thing. It's the media that makes bad things good and good things bad. Yeah, I agree with that too, TJ, that the media just blows things way, way out of proportion and twists things to make things, sensationalize things. That's kind of their job, unfortunately. Uncle Rad says, I think he thought of himself as a kid and he rationalized the pedo stuff with that thought. He probably touched a kid or 12.
Damn.
John,
Probably
what shit we talking tonight? John came in at just the right time. We're talking about pedophilia.
Yeah, it's pretty hardcore subject.
It's pretty brutal.
He says he's on call, so taking a break from the absolute shit show that is my company. Oh wow, just talking about that, John, makes me think. And I don't want anybody to think I hate my new job or anything, because I don't. But I told Steve yesterday, I said, I'm never going to fucking try to help anybody out again, because as soon as you do that, you get your hand slapped. Because I'm one of these people that likes to figure things out for myself. And so there were some of my tickets that I had on this piece of software that's used that, I'm still new to the software. So I took it upon myself to contact the support for this software company. I said, hey, I've got some questions about these things. Can you guys help me out? So they were really good about answering my questions. And there was one thing that some of the clinics were having trouble with. They have tablets that they use to have people sign in when they come to the orthodontist. So I got a notice got a ticket from somebody that said, hey, the wrong clinic is showing up on our tablets, the check-in screen for our tablets. And they were able to give me a screenshot and everything. So the support for this company told me, oh, it's because they don't have an image set for their check-in screen that has their clinic name on it. So what it's doing is just pulling a default image. So I went in and pulled an image they already had and added that as their check-in image, and the clinic was pleased with that. So the next time that came up in the chat, somebody else on the help desk had that happen. And I said, oh, this is what you do. Well, my supervisor said, well, let's let this group make that move on it. I thought, holy crap, if these are supposed to go to these people to make the move, then why are the tickets putting us on the help desk?
Right.
So I said, that's the last time I offer to help anybody out.
You're right. It's like you try to help somebody out, they just they don't give a shit. So.
Yeah, it's like you get, like I said, you get your hand smacked. Just like when
always the way you get, I'm 51 now, and I've learned the lesson a long time ago. You help people and they just shit back up, just give you shit back basically.
I think the original guy that I suggested that to, he was going to do it, but my supervisor came back and said, let's let this other group do it. And I want to say, and quit sending me these tickets on these things if you don't want me to figure out how to fix it.
Yeah. You find the nicer you are, the more idiots you get attracted to, or gets attracted to you, and all that. It's just crazy. They take advantage of someone who's, good-natured.
John says, I hate IT. For anyone in IT, they say fuck it. Well, depending on the day, John, sometimes I would say that. You say, but it's nothing new. Anyone in a career long enough is probably going to be burnt out. Yeah, that is true too. TJ's I'll try to catch up. LOL.
So Curly Jaw's all right there.
Are you
Yeah,
okay?
yeah. This new vape's pretty fucking strong.
Yeah, strong. Everything I do makes me cough anymore. It's like I don't know if it's an allergy or what. Like if I breathe up anything, just the least little bit of dust or anything, I hack like I've got or something. It's awful.
I feel
that.
Uncle Rad says, "Hit that shit, son."
it's a pretty good one. I'll say that. Like,
you out on any gummies tonight, Curly Jaws?
I had one earlier. I am officially out of the gums until Thursday. So I gotta go I gotta go a day without them. But look, I still got my vape. This will hold me over till Thursday.
Right. I've never tried them, and I'm tempted. I'm tempted to get some gummies.
Let me tell you, as a edible, what's the word I'm looking for? An edible experienced person at this. Eat just a little bit. Don't fucking be like eat another one. Be like, oh, I'm a big dog, and eat another one. You will fucking hate your life.
Yeah, don't do like Steve did that. That time that
I literally thought I was dying in my recliner. Like I thought Freddy was coming out of the TV. I thought I was having like heart palpitations. I thought I was dying.
What is that just on 2?
That was I think I don't know. Like that might have been no, that was Oreo balls. I had like 2 Oreo balls, something else, and like it was just so much at like. It was just, and then I told this story plenty of times. I think I told it on a stream, an old stream, about the Waffle House incident where I ate so much cookie dough, and it was like 1,000 milligrams of cookie dough, and I ate like at least 5 scoops of it or whatever, and then a brownie on top of that, which the brownie was 300 milligrams. So taking on top of that, and I just like my body was just like nope, and I collapsed in the middle of this Waffle House, this restaurant. My lips were blue, my skin was yellow.
Bloody hell!
My brother thought I was dead.
Crikey!
They literally was like I'm surprised they didn't call an ambulance. I remember just waking up like what the hell happened.
God,
it was. You just gotta be careful. Know your limits. If you're a newbie, then I go really low on your doses. Don't go crazy like I did. And if you're gonna do it, stay home. Don't go out like me.
I don't think I'm gonna get addicted or anything. I just want to try one just to see.
Yeah,
all it takes is one.
That's what I was like. I just want to try one, and I've been scared to take any since.
I need to do an info commercial about gummies and like this is your brain on gummies and like just like smash like an egg with like the old drug commercials from the early 90s 2000s.
Remember those? I remember this is your brain on drugs. But does anybody remember the one where the father comes into his son's room and finds the drugs? And he says, "Who taught you this?" He said, "I learned it from watching you." So that drugs too. I remember that one vividly.
I remember because you did it too, Dave.
Are they actually classed as drugs or gummies? Because isn't they just natural?
No, they are drugs.
CBD and all that.
It's not CBD. Oh no! This is not CBD. This is
straight up. It's not. Is it?
They have THC.
No.
Right.
Oh, so
I take them I take gummies every day. Like I eat them every day, like candy.
Oh God.
Like
it's
I'm a
a
fuck.
life for old curly jaws now.
Like I'm telling you, once you take them, you're like, unless you go to AA or something, like you're pretty much hooked on them. Like it's not.
Oh, right. Do you get effects if you don't take them then? Withdrawal?
If I don't take them, I become really fucking like moody.
Agitated. Yeah, yeah. Maybe
Yeah,
not.
I'm
I might give
I'm,
them a pass.
I mean, like if like I'd say try, like if you want to try them at least once, by all means, I recommend once. But like it's up to the person really.
Right. Yeah.
Like I've had like mushrooms in
Holy crap! I ain't
I've
going.
had magic mushrooms back in my youth, and
Woo,
never again.
I'm scared of
those,
that shit.
those
I
are
had
fun.
magic mushrooms when I was 17, and I pretty much woke up in the middle of a motorway with cars driving past
Oh
me.
my god!
Yeah. I had
Damn.
weird hallucinations of like, I don't know if you get pasties over there, like a food pasty. It's like I had pasties chasing me down the road, and it was as if it was real. You was
I
thinking
mean,
it was real.
it's not funny, Darren, but I'm just like, oh my
It's
god!
funny now because I come out, I managed to survive it.
When I had magic mushroom, they did much. I had mushrooms. They didn't do that to me, but maybe it also depends on like the dosage and like where you get
Oh
them
yeah,
at and how it all that. But I wish I experienced that. That sounds amazing.
it's really weird because you know that you're in some kind of like, almost like a dream or like
Yeah,
hallucination, but you can't.
yeah.
What you see is to you is real, but obviously it's not. It's hard to explain, but I would not recommend that to anyone. It's horrendous, I tell you.
That's why I don't ever want to take anything like that, like mushrooms or LSD, any of that stuff. And
Even
definitely
some
not.
gummies, like some edibles, will get you hallucinations and shit like that. Like I've
Oh,
had it happen to me before, and I'm like, damn.
see,
Oh right,
that's what I
go
was
on. Sorry.
scared of the first time I took the gummies. I was afraid I was going to start having hallucinations or something. I and when you're in the middle of it, of course, you don't know what's going to happen. I mean,
Mhm.
and I was like, it's already in my system now. I don't know what to do to like.
Mm.
I was trying to figure out ways to get it out of my system quicker, and really, there's not. All you can do is just
You
sleep.
just gotta wait it out, sleep it out.
Oh right, I only thought they
Eat.
just calmed you down a bit. That's all I was thinking. Just something to take the edge off, maybe. But now you've mentioned that, you've
I
put me
mean,
right
yeah. I
off.
mean, if you take like one, like if you're not like a fucking madman like me, and take like 10 or like
Right.
5, or I take for my personal, like if I want to, like I take like 3 or 4 of them at a time, which the normal person should take probably just one, unless you're me.
Yeah.
I take 4 or 5, and I'm like, I'm feeling fucking great.
Right. Yeah.
But if you just want to buzz, like you just want a little like little pip in your step, one will do you just fine.
So
yeah, like once or twice a month.
I've been told I need to smoke it. Oh, Curly Jaws actually told me I needed to smoke it if I wanted to try it again, rather than do the edibles because they take longer to take effect.
Yeah, and the day between, and if you ingest, like if you eat edibles, like if you eat weed, like stuff like that, like it takes for longer for it to digest, but it also affects you, hits you harder. So if you smoke it, it doesn't hit you as like hard, like you're not gonna get this, you know. So I think it'd be better for you if you smoke like a pre-roll or even a vape. I think a vape would do you just fine.
Mm-hmm.
Like some just to hit off the like if you're doing a stream, you just want something like to hit like as you're streaming, because this definitely brings up conversation. Like you start thinking of more shit and all that.
Mm-hmm. The thoughts start flowing better and all that.
Right, yeah. Stimulates your brain.
Well, I couldn't smoke Curly Jaws for a second.
This is Girl Scouts.
Oh,
I think that's. Or was that?
See, I've smoked the odd cigarette in the past. If I go out and my friends have a cigarette, I'll have one, but that's about it.
I've I've never smoked cigarettes ever.
Oh, okay. I'll smoke a cigarette if I'm out like in a bar. That's not how I usually smoke a cigarette. I don't usually like I'm not like a regular smoker with cigarettes. Like if I want a cigarette, I'll go to a bar or
Yeah, it's usually when you have a drink, you feel like a cigarette.
Yeah, a lot of people do that. Yeah, I had a friend back home, a friend and a coworker who she would only smoke when she drank.
Yeah,
She wouldn't just go out and have a smoke. Like some people got to take smoke breaks at work. They'll have to go outside, smoke, but she didn't. Now my mom, that's a whole different story. My mom drinks a little bit and she smokes, but she smoked for years. And she has to have her cigarettes. I mean, she's clearly addicted to those suckers. I wish she could quit for her health, not for anybody else, but just for her health.
Yeah, and the cost of them as well. The prices of them nowadays is just, outrageous.
Yeah, it seems like everything is outrageous anymore.
Well, we got a cost of living crisis over here in the UK. Have you got the same in America?
Well, yeah, I would say so. Mainly because the employers don't want to pay anybody a living wage.
They don't. They fucking don't. Like it's ridiculous and it pisses me off. I'm just like, you want to buy a thing of eggs, it costs you $5-6. A thing of cheese is like $5-6. Milk, like anything that you like, it just baffles me that they expect people to actually pay this prices.
The government is blaming the war in Ukraine, but I don't know. Don't know how that works.
I don't know. Over the years, they have blamed wars for everything, and I just don't think that dictates it as much as they would like to believe it does. Just don't freaking have wars.
Yeah.
Don't participate in these wars. The United States, like people might disagree with me, but the United States, in my opinion, is bad, very bad about getting involved in other people's wars all the time. If they would stay out of this stuff, I think we'd be a lot better off.
I think it'll be. I think if everybody just smoked some weed, everybody'd be okay. If everybody just smoked some, I think people need to just chill the fuck out and stop being a bunch of bitches.
They act like overgrown children. I want to take over this country, and
exactly that's what you want to do with Putin now. Is give him a bag of weed, and that solves the world's problem.
He probably looking like, "What the fuck is this?" So I'm like, it's something you need. Try it.
Like, Ukraine, I don't give a shit about Ukraine anymore.
There's a bag of weed. Now shut the fuck up.
Like, if I was president, that I would be like strongly trying to get that everywhere. Like, I want it that. Like, everybody needs this. It just would make the world better. It really would.
Screw mind control. Just send somebody a bag of weed.
Exactly.
Right. You're president over there as well. I don't know about what the American people think of him, but he just seems too old. He just seems like he couldn't, make a decision about anything really.
I've never liked everything that any president has done, but this is my personal opinion on it. And I hope nobody minds me saying this, but I think Biden is pretty much having to put up with the shit show that Trump created. I think they're still trying to, and I don't know if we'll ever recover from
They
that.
just need to bring back Bill and his saxophone. Bruh, everything was great when Bill was president. Everybody was chill. Everybody was playing the saxophone. It was just a good time.
Everybody was getting blowjobs under the desk.
Yeah, in the Oval Office, it's like, he's like,
exactly.
Oh man, Uncle Red says, I honestly can't believe how bad shit has gotten. There's no way people are going to make it like this longer, and I definitely agree with that. He says the cost of living is unattainable.
It is like
Yeah, same years.
a thing of fucking chickens. Like I want to get some chicken and make some tacos tonight. A thing of chicken fajitas. Chickens cost $11 something.
Yeah.
I'm like,
Chicken used to be cheap too. Me and Steve used to could go to Kroger's and get chicken. Like you could get 4 leg quarters for like $3 or $4. You can't get that shit now like that. Not for that price.
The worst thing over here is
Kroger's can get fucked.
the heating bills we got over here is like pretty much traveled overnight. There's people, poorer people that just can't afford to heat their homes and eat, basically. It's that bad.
Uncle Rad.
Uncle Rad's saying we need to wipe Putin off the map now. And just that asshole will have us in a world of shit for a long time. I'm actually scared of Putin. You know, some people say, shit, he ain't going to do nothing.
Oh, that motherfucker, that some bitch used to be a former spy.
He's probably the most, now that Trump's not president anymore, Putin's probably the most dangerous man in the world right now.
Yeah, they reckon over here as well that he could be dying of cancer, which makes him even more, dangerous because he could just nothing, just press that button and people are going to die. Well, people are dying there anyway.
Wait, hold on. You said Putin has cancer?
There's a rumor going around that he has cancer because if you notice him in the pictures and that, he's bloated and people think that he's actually got cancer. That's why he started this war because he basically don't give a fuck anyway. He's not going to survive, more than a few years.
Oh, yeah. So he's basically, if I'm going out, everybody's coming fucking out with him.
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah.
It's
scary.
And I've always said this, and some people probably think I'm crazy, but I said, if somebody doesn't believe that the United States has nukes somewhere, somebody is seriously pulling the wool over your eyes because you would be shocked at the places that have nukes.
Yeah.
And all it's going to take is one person with a hair trigger to push the button, and everybody's going to push the button on all their freaking nukes, and we're all going to be dead. I mean, we're just going to be gone, obliterated.
Except for me.
Except for you. Are you going to go in your nuclear bunker with
He's going to be so high, he's not going to give a fuck.
I kind of want to build one. I think everybody should invest in that. If I would invest with my tax money I would get a bunker.
Yeah, it's almost like it's like the new age of a Cold War again. It's very, very scary.
Well, look what happened to Hitler as well, isn't it? I know it was on it's not on that scale at the moment, but
everybody always says history repeats itself.
There's always going to be one madman, in charge of a country at any time.
I mean, back in the 80s, they talked about, Gaddafi and taking the hostages and all that stuff. I remember my dad's, ranting and raving that my dad's a good guy, but like when that stuff was going on, I was old enough to recognize what Dad was talking about, and Dad said, "Yeah, Gaddafi was taking hostages left and right," and then we went over there and blew up a building that his son was in and killed his son, and he stopped that shit.
Exactly, they've done the same with Saddam Hussein. They took his ass out. So that's what they should do with Putin.
I remember the night Saddam Hussein died because John Cena announced it at Extreme Rules.
Oh, really?
Yeah, John Cena's like, we got him.
Yeah, but the Americans and the UK should team up with the Ukraine and just take him out once and for all. And give Russia back to themselves, and let them start anew and fresh. Mm-hmm. But I don't want to get too political.
Oh, that's okay. I don't mind.
We started off about horror and we just
that's okay.
I like that it's all over the place. That would makes it fun.
Yeah, I like that.
Yeah, it makes a change, doesn't it?
Yeah, there's really only so much car talk we can do, so I think it's good.
Unless we just have Jason fight Putin. Jason
Yeah.
Jason Takes Russia. Like, would you? That would be a good movie. I'd see that.
Oh man, Uncle Rad is pretty pissed now. He says, "I wish he would try to nuke us. All that would be left of that dickhead would be a little crispy Putin nugget." He says, "No one spends more on defense than the U.S. That's all we do really is arm ourselves and invent new shit to cause chaos. So by all means, try to nuke us."
The
Yeah,
US, the most powerful country in the world.
I forgot who was the president that nuked Japan. I forgot who.
Oh God, you're on about Hiroshima, yeah? I have no idea past a certain point.
And I like history. I'm ashamed that I don't. Maybe I'm too stoned to remember, but
I used to be really good at least, stuff related to U.S. history. And
I
now,
love history.
yeah.
Like,
we used to have back in school. Do both of you remember a film called Freds from 1987? I think it's 1987. It might be a bit before.
I'm trying to.
Actually,
it
it might
sounds
be
familiar.
It's early 80s actually, and it's about the nuclear bombs going off in the UK, and that frightened the shit out of me at the time.
I didn't know there was
nuclear
nuclear bombs going off in the UK.
Well, no, if one was to go off, basically,
Right.
it was kind of showing you what would happen if it did.
I think I remember watching that, but I don't remember. Like, I remember it, but I don't remember it.
I don't remember that one, but I do remember a film that came out back in the 80s called The Day After.
Yeah, that would have been something similar, yeah.
And it's all about what would happen if everybody hit their nukes or some nukes got released.
Yeah.
And you watch this horrific film.
But that is what doesn't make sense to me. Like, okay, like if you're say Russia, you're gonna nuke the U.S. Why wouldn't that I don't know, wouldn't destroy the whole world, but it would. I don't think that would be a good idea. Nukes are
pretty much
just too
Putin
dangerous.
would be committing suicide by doing that anyway. Like Uncle Bill said, he'd be taking it straight away.
But unfortunately, the powers that be never are rational about things. They are very much irrational about stuff like that. It's just like they all want to go big or go home. Everybody's got to do the worst possible thing. And if that means nuking everybody in sight, then when it comes down to it, they would rather do that. If one person can't be in control of the whole entire world, they would just rather just nuke it, just flatten it, destroy it.
But you're also destroying yourself in the process. Like, maybe they just don't care.
They don't care. They absolutely do not care. It's all about power. And if they can't have all the power and they can't run the whole complete show, then they would rather there not be any show.
Exactly, yeah.
And it's very scary. And I find it hard to watch movies like The Day After now.
I can't watch the movie. I remember watching the movie 2012 and being terrified of next year, like because I was watching it in science class in 2011 in high school, and I'm like, man, this shit's gonna happen next year.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was saying with that film. We watched that in school, and
that movie terrified a generation. Yeah,
John says, yeah, that movie, the interview with James Franco, where they interviewed Kim Jong, or however you pronounce that guy's name, that shit ain't that far off from the truth. Crazy asses with gold boats and wiping their ass with $100 bills. Yeah. So I think Uncle Rad is saying either FDR or Truman. He can't really remember which president.
Truman. I think it was Truman.
That sounds about right. Truman does sound.
Yeah, now the name sounds familiar now.
And I'm very much, I always say I'm a misplaced hippie, that I should have grown up in the '60s when the anti-war movement was big.
Same.
Because I just hate the idea of war. My dad has tried to tell me over and over the years. He says, Dana, sometimes war is necessary. If you don't have war, then these assholes will come and, although he doesn't put it that way, but these crazy guys will take over the entire world. And
I think with with Hitler, it was necessary, you know. My granddad fought in the First World War, and my father fought in the Second World War against Hitler. And that fucker would have just, well, I don't know so much about you guys, but there's no way I would be alive now if Hitler had it, you know, taken over. Because he was on a mission, wasn't he? And he very nearly became, like people say, yeah, he was stupid in the end and all that. He was almost nearly a genius. And he just fucking went that one step too far, you know? Because we were the underdogs, the UK at one point, you know.
And I mean,
all your boys come over and give us a hand as well.
I've listened to
Boys in blue.
I listened to the Beatles talk about how they could still see, you know, where things had been bombed in England. During that time period. And I mean, it was still, things were still destroyed during that time when they were growing up. So yeah, it's just
there's no way he would have stopped either. You know, he wanted this world where, you know, everyone was like this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, you know, sort of person, and obviously killing the Jews the way he did was just horrendous. There's no way he would have stopped. No way he would have stopped. He had to be taken out. I know he killed himself in the end, but he knew his time was up.
Like a lot of people say, "Oh, he didn't actually kill himself. It was a cover up. He went on to live somewhere else." And what do you think about all that? Do you think he actually did and killed himself, or do you think he like escaped?
There is a photograph of him with the bullet through his head, but you know, obviously, when you see a picture of a dead person, sometimes it doesn't look. So you can't be 100% whether it definitely looks like him.
I think if they would have took more photos, it would have been better, but they only took that one.
I think he did, though. I think he did kill himself. I think he was trapped in the bunker, wasn't he, with his girlfriend. I don't know if he was married to her at the time. There's some good films, some good documentaries on that.
I think Steve has watched some Hitler stuff, but Steve watches some really weird stuff sometimes, in my opinion. He'll watch about the connection between aliens and Hitler or like that.
Do you know why? Yeah, I'm fascinated by all that. Aliens, like, because the Germans apparently, they were working on, you know, UFO aircraft and apparently had alien intelligence helping them, which didn't do them any fucking good in the end anyway, did it? But yeah, I'm fascinated by all that shit, the SS.
So, have either of you guys or anybody in the chat, have you ever seen the movie The Wave?
It sounds familiar.
What's it called? The Wave?
The Wave.
No.
The reason why I bring it up is because in that movie, I believe Bruce Davison plays a teacher, a high school teacher. He's a history teacher, and he's teaching his class about Hitler and what went on during that time. And his students are obviously horrified, and they ask the teacher, they say, why did people keep turning a blind eye to what Hitler was doing to the Jewish people and all of that? And so he got the idea. Oh, we lost old Curly Jaws, I think. Oh, I think he's back. You back, old Curly Jaws? Okay.
Yeah.
So anyway, the teacher gets the idea to do a project with his students. So he basically divides his students up into groups. And so one group is going to be the group that was like the people that followed Hitler or turned a blind eye to what Hitler was doing. And then the other people in the class would be just like regular people that could be persecuted against if they didn't join this group. And the reason why the movie was called The Wave is because they adopted a symbol, the people that were in the group that were pretty much the bad guys, that it was a wave symbol. And they would put armbands on them with that wave symbol on it. So it quickly got out of control, this project did. And I think it's supposed to be based on a true story that happened out in California in the like 60s or 70s. And this teacher was so horrified when he saw his students turning on each other that he thought, I've got to stop this. So he told all of them that were in the wave group, he said, we're going to have a special assembly and I'm going to show you your leader. And so he gets them all together in the gymnasium and he puts a film of Hitler up on the screen. He said, there is your leader. And they started crying and ripping off the symbols off their arms. And so it's a very, I mean, at times it's very disturbing.
And what's the movie called? The Wave?
It's just called The Wave.
I'll have to check it out.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you may be able to find it on YouTube or
Probably.
something that I haven't searched in a long time. But us talking about Hitler and stuff reminded me of that movie. It was sort of like, I don't think it was an actual after-school special, but it was like those after-school specials.
They don't make those anymore, those after-school specials.
And I know a lot of people laugh about the after-school specials. I know Steve laughs at one where, and a lot of people laugh at this one. I think it had Scott Baio in it, and it was called The Boy Who Drank Too Much. And it was about a boy that becomes an alcoholic, and people always laugh because they say, yeah, he pissed on himself in one part of the movie. And that was so funny. Well, that's not the lesson to be learned. You know, the lesson is don't become an alcoholic or try not to be not to
we
be
had
on himself.
Yeah, we had one over here in the UK they used to show during school and sometimes on the TV called Lonely in Dark Water, and it had pretty much where all these kids could fall into water, and it was absolutely terrifying when you're a kid watching it. And the guy who done the actual voiceover was Donald Pleasance. I'm sure you could probably see it on YouTube. I think it was called Dark and Lonely Water, something like that. And it's only a short, and I tell you what, it's fucking terrifying with his voice and everything. You know, kids trying to reach to get their ball in the water and falling in, and all sorts of stuff like that.
I'll have to watch that. Like Donald Pleasance, his voice is just made for like doing voiceover work.
Oh yeah, creepy, absolutely creepy.
And you know, I remember a lot of that stuff. Like, you know, the after school specials were what you, at least growing up in my generation, you would get off the school bus coming there. There'd be a new after school special every.
I remember speaking of like stuff like that. I know Dana, you're a little bit older than me, and I don't know about Darren, but the Dare program.
Oh yeah, I remember the Dare program.
Like they had it at school, and they made us try on the goggles and made you look drunk, or it made you like.
That must have been later. That must have been later in the Dare program. But I do remember cops coming to, like,
they did, yeah.
Cops and stuff would come to the school and tell us don't take drugs. You know.
Was the Dare program that old? I thought it was like not that old.
I remember it like I'm pretty sure I remember it in elementary school.
Oh wow, it must have been
school too.
They must have had it for a long time because they had it when I remember when I went to elementary school and they had it there, and I think they got rid of it eventually because they said it was stupid.
I don't think we had that over here.
You didn't have any kind of program like that, Darren?
Not that I can recall, no. We get maybe get the odd policeman there and again come and warn you off doing certain things, but All the kids in my
Well,
school were all up to bloody no good, half of them anyway, smoking and
exactly,
taking drugs.
and the alcohol ages over in England is like what you can be like 15, 16 to drink over there.
It's 18, but trust me, they don't. They're drinking 14, 15. It's crazy. It's not so bad, I suppose, now. But going back when I was a kid, I'm like talking 40 years ago now. It was really bad. Doing drugs behind the bike sheds, and teachers didn't know anything. Didn't know half of it.
Clue, did they?
No, the bullying was terrible as well. I used to get kids really badly bullied. And I suppose all the political correctness today and all that stuff, which is a good thing. But it was really tough growing up, in the UK at that time.
I remember I seen Ozzy watching his documentary. He brought up bullying a lot over there.
Yeah, he comes from Birmingham, and that's a really tough childhood, place to grow up. Black Sabbath and all them came from there.
I know Kane Hodder didn't grow up in England, but he does talk about, I've talked about this documentary to Hell and Back about Kane Hodder, and that is such a great documentary. Again, I would definitely recommend that to anybody that hasn't seen it.
Oh,
is it on streaming? Is it on it, or is it on YouTube?
I think it may have been on Shudder. You might be able to find it on YouTube, possibly Tubi. I think it was on Tubi.
I think I downloaded it somewhere online.
I actually have Blu-ray now, and Steve was like, Dana, my gosh, why did you buy the Blu-ray of that? I said, because I love this freaking documentary so much.
Oh, I tell you what, it opened up my eyes to what the shit that he put himself through, and what he had to overcome was incredible. I totally looked at him as a total different person.
I did too. I actually want to go meet him and talk to him again now that I read the book, or actually listened to the audio book about him. And then I saw the documentary. I had respect for the guy, but now I have a whole new level of respect for the guy. Because
I think everyone should see that documentary at least once to make you look at your own life and some of the things you overcome. And that guy has come through a lot, and fair play.
Yeah, Darren, what did you think about the part where he talks about being bullied as a young boy? And I mean, like he said, those kids beat the shit out of him.
Could beat the shit out of him now. Look, he's fucking Jason.
And you'd see him at the conventions a few years back, and he'd be, strangling people and stuff like that. And
he's like, fucking jacked. He's
a big guy, and I always thought, maybe sometimes he's a little bit too heavy-handed with them, because I know he don't do it now. But didn't some guy try to sue him or something? But anyway, but there, you watch that documentary, and you totally, absolutely got utmost respect for him afterwards.
I'm
to come through what he did.
I don't hear more people watching it or more people commenting on it. I know Darren loves it and I love it, but I don't hear.
Oh, it's highly recommended. Highly recommended.
Do you say it's the best documentary you've ever seen?
I
don't know about the best. Go on, sorry, Dina. Go on.
I was just going to say, from a horror perspective, people in the horror industry, I say it's pretty high up there on my list.
I'd say it's more inspirational than,
that too.
I would say, if I'd say documentary-wise, what inspirational until I was Jake the Snake Roberts, the resurrection of Jake the Snake, until I actually met the son of a bitch. But that was a really good one, and you really then you just when you meet him and he's just an asshole, and it really takes away the moment from watching that movie.
I met
go on, sorry, Dina. Sorry.
Oh, okay. I was just gonna say I met Kane Hodder. It's been several years ago, back in 2009, I think, when I first really got into the horror conventions, and he was at Scarefest, as he has been for many, many years. And I went up and met him, and he was really nice to me and stuff, and took a picture with me. I didn't ask him to strangle me or anything like that. And he didn't offer anything. I just have a picture with him where he's got his big arm around me. I look like an itty bitty person next to. I was tiny next to him. He looks like he could crush me, and he probably could. But he was really nice to me and stuff, and he loved my accent. He loved my Kentucky accent. He kept wanting me to say things. So I would really like to revisit that and like meet him again or talk to him again.
I was going to say, talking of documentaries, have both you guys seen Grizzly Man?
I've seen clips and I've heard the chilling like recording and all that.
I think I have seen it, but I don't think I've actually been able to sit down and watch it.
I watched it pretty much like 15 years ago when it first came out. But I recently gone back and watched it again, and I'll tell you what, that story is chilling. That guy, is it Timothy? Can't think of his second name, but yeah, it's well worth watching if you've not seen it. I think everyone pretty much knows the ending now, but it's still worth a watch. I think it was on YouTube at some stage. But yeah, I was going to say they think they got the original recording of what happened at the end, but I think that's bullshit because I'm sure Wes CK said going back a few years back that it was bullshit. But I wouldn't want to hear that anyway. I don't think the actual real ending of that film.
Yeah, I don't. There's a lot of things I wouldn't like to hear. Like,
I think if you get the chance, though, it's like a Kane Hodder. It's worth watching at least once just to say you've watched it, and it's just real life, and it's as chilling as any of the horrors we watch on screen at times.
And I think that's why they disturb us so much, because they're almost it hits too close to home a lot of times with that stuff. And
with that guy as well, it's a fine line between mental illness as well, thinking that he can actually talk to these bears and live in the captivity with them. And I think there was a lot of mental issues as well, which has not really gone into the documentary, but it has to be, and his poor girlfriend as well. It's shocking, but highly recommend if anyone's listening to this. And it's not going to be a fun watch by any means. But
I just can't imagine getting eaten alive by any animal besides a fucking bear.
Well, in the documentary, you can hear some of his screams. I don't think they've done the full, they didn't record it all. But it's like when he's screaming at his girlfriend to get away as well, and she goes to help him. It is fucking horrifying, I tell you. More horrifying than anything we'll ever see, the Evil Dead or anything like that.
You thinking how did he not have a gun to protect yourself, or is a grizzly bear just too fucking powerful?
He thought he could just live like one of them, and they pretty much was quite friendly with him. But it's a grizzly fucking bear. You don't take liberties.
It's a wild animal. You can't
exactly.
Because that's the thing about wild animals. You never know when they may just turn.
Well, look at some dogs as well, Rottweilers and stuff. You put them near a baby, and it can be really catastrophic. God, I wouldn't dare to think what a Rottweiler could do to a baby. And it's happened very recently in the UK as well.
People just aren't careful enough. You always have to be careful. Like with Reggie, or with any of my dogs. It doesn't have to be a pit bull mix. I would watch any of my dogs very carefully around a baby, a toddler.
Yeah, because they get jealous, don't they? Of babies and stuff. The attention.
I would even watch my little dogs, Darcy and Brink. They're little dogs, but that doesn't mean they couldn't get jealous and want to, bite the baby or bite a child just because they get, a little jealous.
Shits on the child's face.
Yeah,
Oh,
that would probably be the least. And some dogs have a high prey drive too. And my dog
My
Red,
my German Shepherd definitely. If he sees a squirrel, that's like
exactly. That's what Red
yeah.
says about squirrels. So can you imagine if they thought a baby was prey, what they would do to a baby? I mean,
yeah.
people just got to have some sense about things
hmm
and just be careful.
That shit happens regularly over here. Yeah, everyone, like 1 or 2 months, you hear a story like that, and then
Well,
I,
are you all gonna go see Cocaine Bear?
I
I don't know.
I'm gonna go
don't
see
think that's
Cocaine
high
Bear.
on my priority list at the moment.
Like it just I have to. I want to do like on the road for a Cocaine Bear. Like I want to take at least 20 gummies before going to see Cocaine Bear.
There's another one out as well, and there Winnie the Pooh comes out this week, I think.
Oh, does it?
Oh yeah, I forgot about Winnie the
Do a
Pooh, Blood
double
and
feature.
Honey. Yeah, just do like the best double feature right there. And
I know Steve hasn't mentioned it. He's probably afraid I'm going to want to drag him to Winnie the Pooh or something.
I mean, hey, I'd go
I
see
think
Winnie
that'd be
the
a fun
Pooh.
one.
Yeah.
Like the
Playing over
Banana
here.
Splits film.
Just be like, hey, Steve, Curly wants to go see Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey. We got to go to Nobbany.
Don't take offense. Steve would probably say, fuck that. I'm not
driving all the way over there.
That's been Steve's like attitude lately. I hope y'all didn't hear Steve screaming a little earlier. That's why I brought Brandon back here, because when nobody messes with Steve's sleep, whether you're a person or whether you're an animal, or you're going to get screamed at. Because Brandon was barking back there, and like I said, I should have brought him back here earlier so he wouldn't have done that. But then Steve felt bad, and he brought Brandon a treat back here and was petting him. So that's the way Steve does. His temper gets the best of him.
Sam's the Basset Hound.
Sammy's one of the Basset Hounds. Brandon is a Basset Hound. You can maybe see him in back of me there. It's pretty dark back there. And again, bless his heart. But yeah, we've got 5 dogs in the house, so eventually one of them at least is going to get on somebody's nerves. But the thing about Brandon is Brandon's about 16 years old. His mobility's not good. We think he's got dementia. And so that's why
I didn't even know dogs could get dementia.
Yeah, they can get I think that the technical term for it is canine cognitive dysfunction. But a lot of people call it doggy dementia, just for short. But yeah, we think he's got.
I know my cousin's dog. It has to take diabetes shots every day.
Yeah, they can get diabetes too. Basically, anything a human can get, they can get. They can get cancer. They can get diabetes.
Dog cancer, I think, is a lot worse. Like, it gets bad with some of them. Like my dachshund, it had cancer, and it just.
It's horrible. And I tell you, make sure your dogs have the shots if at all possible, because I've watched a dog slowly die of parvo, and it's
right.
It is horrible.
I think what's so heartbreaking about is that they can't answer back, and they can't tell you what's wrong or anything.
I mean, we basically. Sam, our first Basset Hound we had, we believe he died of cancer. I'm not, 100% sure, but basically we slowly watched him almost die in front of our eyes, and it didn't take long. And, I blame myself sometimes for not taking him to the vet quicker. But and then some days I think, well, it wouldn't have really mattered in the end. I mean, they put him on IVs and all of that, and I'm not trying to bring down the stream, but me and Steve went to see him at the vet the day before he passed away. And they unhooked him from the IV so we could pet him and hug on him and stuff like that. And then I was by myself the next day because I was off from work, and Steve was at work, and I got the call from the vet, the call that you dread. And the vet said, Miss Benningfield, he said, I've got bad news about Sam. And he told me that he passed away in the night. So yeah, I held it together on the phone with the vet, but as soon as I was off the phone, I was just bawling. So yeah, I totally feel for anybody that's had to go through that with pets. And then Linnea, our dachshund that we had, she literally died in my arms. She passed away in my arms. But me and Steve knew the end was soon with her. And so I was just holding her and rubbing her and trying to relax her, and she just let go and passed away. So, yeah. Sorry I bummed everybody out now.
Guys, I don't want to be rude. I'm just going to go to use the bathroom a minute. I'll be back now.
Oh, you're good, Bubba.
I'm probably going to have to get off here before long because got to work tomorrow, sadly. But
I'm off tomorrow. I'm off for the next 2 days.
All right. Did you just take you a little mini vacation, or?
I usually have off every Wednesday and Thursday.
Oh, that's good.
Those are the days I prefer being off. Just Thursdays is when we always get paid, so I like to be off during that and get my rounds done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, if I had enough time off that I could do that like several weeks in a row, I would probably do it. But when I work full time and I've only got so many vacation days, and so I've got 2 weeks left, but I'm trying to save them, kind of spread them out a little bit so I don't use them all up and in the early part of the year not have any for later. Hey, Kelly. I hate to get off here soon after people because we're now back up to 6 people. We dropped down a little bit, but now the number.
No.
Hey, Rob. Oh, Brandon, it's okay, man.
Oh.
You should come over here. Old Curly Jaws will talk to you.
What you doing, boy?
Poor thing. He falls down a lot because his back legs just aren't strong. Hey, welcome back, Darren. We've got more people in here, Darren, actually.
Oh, right.
Did you guys ever watch that Netflix series Dahmer?
Oh, no, I wanted to.
I don't think I got to watch. I think Steve watched some of it. I don't know if he watched all of it or not.
Is that the actual documentary on the case, or is that the reenactment of it?
That's the reenactment. That's the show. Evan
yeah,
Peters
that's the one
on.
I didn't see.
So the show which they kind of skipped through a lot from what I was told. But I only watched like the first half of the first episode, but I was told they skip through a lot, like through his story, and like it's a lot of people gave it. I've heard great things about it, but I've heard they skip through a lot of his story, and they go like they time jump a lot.
Right, yeah.
So I'm like, I don't know. I mean, how I feel about that. But I heard the next season is going to be focusing. So each season is going to be a different serial killer.
Oh, okay.
So, which I think, so they're doing the American Horror Story thing. Each season's going to be different. I'm like, okay, that's cool. I like that. Next season's John Wayne Gacy.
Right, that seems interesting.
So I'm curious how that's gonna be a really unique episode.
Are they gonna kill Ted Bundy, or has Ted Bundy?
I was going to say that, yeah, Dana with the Mark Hamill film. I remember Dana copying me that.
Oh yes.
Oh, what was that called now? Remember what it's called?
Stranger.
That's it. Yeah, I really like that one.
That one's good.
I like the one as well with Tiffany Shepard. I think they've done one back in the early 2000s on Ted Bundy.
Oh yeah.
But usually I don't like reenactments. I usually like the real documentaries. Like Netflix has come out with some great ones with Bundy. You know, the last? I'm trying to think now. Las Vegas Killer. That one guy they caught a couple of years back through DNA. They'll come to me in a bit. Oh God, what's his name? Do you know the one I'm on about, Dana?
I know what you're talking about, and it's right there, but I can't.
He was like the Roycelia ransacker he was at one stage, and then he progressed all his crimes from burglary. I just can't think of his name. His actual name was Joseph D'Angelo. But yeah, that's a case that you want. I tell you what, watch the docudrama on that. The actual documentary
I'm
on
hoping that after the Gary John Wayne Gacy one, I hope they do.
Golden State Killer.
That's the one, the Golden State Killer.
Yeah, right.
Like I say, if you get any documentary on that, watch it because it's fascinating. There's actual like a podcast called The Man in the Window, and there's like a 7-8 really thorough like podcast on the whole case. And I tell you what, that guy was just as bad as Bundy, you know.
Yeah.
And they only found him while he's in his 70s now. They found him literally a couple of years ago.
John's saying that Bundy film on Vinegar Syndrome was crazy too, from the 2000s.
Yeah, I think that's the one with Is that the one with Tiffany Shepard, I think?
It might be. I don't think that I've seen that one.
Yeah, the guy in that, apparently Tiffany Shepard was saying in an interview, it might have been in an interview on Dead Pit, I'm not sure, but she was saying the guy who actually played Ted Bundy in that film was an actual fucking psychopath in real life because he was really heavy-handed, strangling her. She said she almost passed out. And he was really sadistic as well, she said. Like, so.
John says he's read about the Golden State Killer, and he says he was creepy as hell. He was inactive after 86.
Yeah.
I hope they do a... like, since they're doing John Wayne Gacy in the next season, hope the third season, I hope they do at least one of the seasons. I hope they do Eileen Warren.
Oh,
yeah. Have you heard of a guy called Dennis Nielsen from the UK?
That
No.
sounds familiar.
There's a Netflix documentary on him as well. He's pretty much basically the UK version of Jeffrey Dahmer. He was a cannibal killer from London. Another, really, I would say definitely watch his documentaries, but I know they're not going to be for everyone and quite disturbing at times. But he was a homosexual, and he used to get, invite these young men back to his place, kill them, and basically eat them. And they found all the bodies stashed. I don't want to put people off if they're eating or anything, but they were all stashed in his wardrobe, like where he chopped them up.
Wow.
The smell was so bad.
Did anybody ever hear the thing about, I think it was the BTK killer's daughter?
Yeah, I seen that. Yeah.
An interview with her or something where she basically blamed Stephen King for her father killing.
That's right, yeah.
And I'm like, I cannot believe she said that.
That's
how are you gonna blame somebody else for somebody else's kill? Like, you can't do that.
That guy was really cunning as well, and just a simple mistake. He got caught out by a simple mistake, right? So he carried on. He'd finished doing all these killings, and years later, he just decided again he wanted to taunt the police.
Mhm.
So he was taunting the police through like newspaper ads and stuff like that. And then he said, "You're so stupid, right? This is a serial killer who's killed loads of women, right?" He actually turned around and said to the press, "If I send you something on like a computer disk, would you not be able to trace it?" And they said, "No, we won't be able to trace that." Got him straight away, Dennis Rader, at
Yeah.
this Christian church he worked in, where
Yeah.
he was doing this disc.
Mm-mm-mm.
Well, you know, cunning and all that for all these years, and then go and get caught by a stupid thing like that. It's kind of laughable in a way. But he was another sadistic fucker, like, you know, pardon my language.
John's bringing up something else about the Golden State Killer. He said, "What's creepy is there's a Reddit thread from 2016 or so of a guy dressing up in a wig at front doors with tools. Looks like Golden State Killer could have been him."
Oh, I've not seen that. I'll have to
Oh,
check that out.
speaking of killers, there was a killer that lived up the road from me.
Ooh.
Well,
Yeah, he actually lived right next to my workplace.
there was a guy that they think he murdered several people. Like, and I'm talking about little old Hancock County from where I grew up. There was a guy named Bobby Marsh who they've torn his house down, but after he was put in prison, people used to, it was one of the neighborhood things, like kids would dare each other to go up on his porch and sit. But he was a guy that he was kind of okay whenever he wasn't drinking, but he would just go completely crazy if he drank too much. And I know that sounds laughable, but that's what this guy would do. And he also went ape shit when his mother died. And as we know, a lot of serial killers have some kind of weird relationship with their mothers. Anyway, so
Why is that? That's you always wonder why it's always like the mom or the dad that or like even say
they
your
seem to
mom
have a fixation with their mother for
or
whatever.
like
So you guys have heard of the Yorkshire Ripper, I take it? Have you?
I
Yeah.
believe so, yeah. That sounds familiar to me.
That guy, there's another Netflix documentary series on him. He was pretty much just like a UK's version of Ted Bundy, really, but in some ways more sadistic. In some killings, he was really bad. And it's coming through now because I kind of, one of my things with horror films is I do like, reading up on serial killers. Have you heard of a guy called the Weepy Voice Killer, Paul Stefano?
The name sounds Stefano
Right.
sounds familiar.
Paul Stefano, yeah. Basically, he has a documentary. You'll probably get it on YouTube, where he was killing these women, and he was ringing up, in a high pitched voice, ringing the police in a high pitched voice, crying, like in a weepy voice. So they called him the Weepy Voice Killer. And yeah, that's a documentary. I won't spoil it too much for people. That's a documentary worth watching because they got the actual recording.
That reminds me when you said the weepy voice killer. All I think of is that fucking duck killer from New York.
All right. Well, he was kind of with the Weepy Voice Killer. What he was doing, instead of ringing up the police and saying, "Look, I killed this person" and all that, he had two personalities. When he was ringing up the police, and he was going, "I've just killed someone. I'm never gonna go to heaven" and all this, and he was like really maniacal. But there was literally it was two people inside one man, and there was this killer, and this other guy was trying to warn the police of himself in a way. It's really strange case. But yeah, definitely check that case out. It's really disturbing. But
I used to, read a lot of stuff on serial killers and watch a whole lot more stuff than I do now. I think my mom was worried about me at one time. Not that I was going to become a serial killer or anything, that I was trying to get tools to do, but she just wondered why I was watching this stuff. And I said, well, first of all, I have a morbid curiosity for it. And on the
Yeah.
other hand, I'm kind of like Stephen King said once. He was asked why, when he was a boy, he would read up on Charles Starkweather. And people, would ask him, why do you want to read up on that guy? And he said, because basically I want to find out what makes this guy tick. So I know to watch out for these guys. He said Charles Starkweather had a look in his eyes that was just empty and dead.
Yeah.
And so I agree with that. I look at people like Charles Manson, who nobody's home except pure evil when you look at somebody like Charles Manson. It's obvious.
Yeah, that's a difficult case as well with Manson, because did he actually ever kill anyone, you know? I know it's rumored that he maybe
He
killed one
never
guy.
touched one person.
Yeah, exactly. Never proven anyway.
But what's
You want to know a fun fact?
What's that?
Go on.
Charles Manson's my great grandfather.
Holy
Really?
cow!
Wait, no, I'm joking.
that,
Placed it down.
that would have been like that would have been the big drop, like dun dun dun.
that would have been Dana's channel shut there.
Oh, holy crap! Yeah,
Cancelled.
Manson's relative was like shut that shit down.
I think all of Manson's relatives, like I know his son killed himself, or he might have died. I know that.
Like he fathered a lot of kids because I guess he basically slept with all the women in his cult.
That's another case that fascinates me. I think I've watched every documentary on that case.
Same.
Fascinates me, but it also terrifies me because even if he never killed anybody, his sadistic charisma, or whatever you want to call it, his ability to create robots with no emotion to send them out to kill people. That's what's scary to me about somebody like Manson, is the amount of
it's a fine line though, isn't it? Because I could tell someone to go and kill someone tomorrow and they could do it. Does that make me guilty?
Mm-hmm.
No, you know? So I'm not sticking up for Manson in any way, shape, or form.
I get what you're saying.
But I've seen people get worse, you know, get life as the same as him and get, you know, even get the death penalty for, you know, like a lot less.
Like Charles Manson,
he did a lot less.
I will say, have you ever listened to his music?
Yeah, I have. Yeah.
I have listened to some of his music, and believe it or not,
it's great.
One of his
I like it. I do.
Was on. Was it on Pet Sounds? Was it? Which Beach Boys album was it on?
Yeah, he recorded. I'm trying to think of the name of the song now. What was it called? They slightly changed the lyrics, didn't they?
Yeah.
And that's why he had a hold over the drummer of the Beach Boys at one stage.
That's why I've always been so hesitant to do like my top 10 singers of all time, because he's close in the top 5.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. People would look at it as all wrong. They wouldn't look at it as the creativity that Manson was doing with
like his album is on vinyl. You can buy it online. Like I thought about buying it.
What's that one song? Is it Game Girl?
Yeah, Game Girl. That's a really good song.
I really like that one, yeah.
And I'm just like, this guy is so talented. Like, and like the Beach Boys like turned him down or something, or maybe I don't know. I don't know if they turned him down or the record label turned him down.
Terry Melcher, who actually I think was the Beach Boys producer. And
yeah, he was. Yeah.
To Manson, and he just kind of turned him down flat and didn't think any more about it. And my theory is, and I think this is a lot of people's theory, is that Manson was pissed off.
Yeah.
But he was pissed off because Terry Melcher did not want to, put out an album with him. So therefore, Terry Melcher wasn't living in the house at that time, but Sharon Tate was in Terry Melcher's old house.
Right, yeah.
So I think Manson was just a pissed off, very angry, bitter man, but he obviously had some kind of mental issues.
Oh,
Because normally people don't say, go, go slaughter everybody.
oh, and he had a right to be fucking angry. Like, I feel for him, like, for that, but for him, like, I don't agree with him saying, "Yo, my cult, kill these motherfuckers."
Yeah,
Like, no, I wouldn't go that far, but like, maybe you could, like, I don't know, start your own record label, or like, maybe find another record label. Maybe, like,
I think the Beach Boys fucked him over with that one song. I think, like Dana said, like he must have thought Terry Melcher was maybe living in the house, but the Sharon Tate was in. Obviously got all the techs and all the girls to slaughter Sharon Tate and the people in the house at the time. But I think what happened there was they found out that obviously it wasn't Terry Melcher. So I think he ordered them to do other killings just to make it look as if it wasn't a one-off. I might be wrong, but
because then they killed the LaBiancas.
Yeah, I think that was done just out of like saying to the police, there's a serial killer's on the loose, rather than just a one-off incident that could have been traced back to him anyway. But again, that was only stupid why they got caught. Was because of the one girl on it talking in prison.
Oh yes,
and boasting about it.
She blabbed and ran her mouth too much, and then
that's
basically why they got caught.
I remember. Do you remember that girl that was trying to marry Charles Manson in prison, so she could have his body as to put in her museum?
Was that the motive?
Yeah, she wanted to like, how you would like say, like, how you say your dog passed away, you get like some people get their dog stuffed and all that, which I think is, I don't know how I would feel about that anyway.
Yeah, I couldn't do it.
That'd just be weird. But she wanted to have Manson's body preserved like that and put it out in a museum for people to see. And when Manson found out this, he said, "Fuck you! I'm calling the marriage off."
Yeah.
You think it is quite a wise thing to do, though, because she could have made a lot of money out of that.
It's never been done.
I don't know what the law is against that, but
yeah,
she would have made millions. There would have been millions of people going there.
People would probably want to buy it off her. Like
pilgrimages to see Manson's body, his preserved body.
There's still people now that are into Manson. Still, it's a scary thing.
Like, I mean, I think the dude's just he's it's hard, like, because like the whole killing. Well, he didn't kill nobody, but the killing thing and all that, like, it just brings down his name value. So it's like when you can't really like. But I think the dude's a unique individual. Like, it's a shame that had to happen, but
I think he's a product of his growth. Society, of the way he grew up was rough. Was really rough.
So Rob brings up, and I knew about this too, that they wanted to start a race war and try to make it look like black people who hated cops did it. So
that's right, yeah.
Manson had a lot of theories. He had that theory. He was really into Hitler. He had all kinds of magazines with Hitler in them.
He was convinced the White Album by the Beatles was sending him messages to go and kill, to kill all black people.
Imagine how mortified the Beatles must have been to hear that. Which the White Album is a fantastic album.
It's really good. Gringo's probably like, "What the fuck did we do, man? This fucking guy's fucking crazy. He's fucking trying to kill fucking this bitch, man. Tay, what the fuck?"
I think
that's even better than me.
John Lennon at the time, I think in not so many words, was like, "What the fuck is he talking about? What is Manson talking about with this stuff?"
I wish people, like, I wish we could, like, imagine if they could do round tables back then, like, with all these, like, imagine a round table with Charles Manson, John Lennon, and just
Wow.
somebody else, and just like them, just like imagine that. Imagine them imagine podcasts were a thing back then.
That would be wild. I mean,
I think that'll be a bestseller, wouldn't it?
having podcasts from prison or something like the prison podcast.
And I thought wasn't there somebody I thought there's people actually doing podcasts in prisons, but I don't know if that's even a thing, or there probably is a thing. Who fucking knows?
Well, kind of, because they do interviews, don't they, in prison? They sit down with a microphone, so I would imagine it's just the same. But yeah, looking what happened to John Lennon as well, talking to killers, that was a grisly end as well. It's just crazy for no.
I wasn't even old enough to remember, John Lennon being killed like he was. But I really, and Darren's probably heard me tell the story before, I really got into the Beatles and their music, and then subsequently into John Lennon and his solo work and all that. When the Beatles anthology came out, that's when I really got into it. And then I discovered John Lennon's whole solo career, which just
his solo curse is amazing of itself.
Yeah.
Here's my I always like making timeline prediction theories. I'm really if you you ever hear that thing if you go back in time and if you step on something, they'll fabric time and all that and stuff will get changed. What if John Lennon never got shot? Would he still be alive today? What would the Beatles have ever gotten back together? What would have happened?
So that's interesting that you bring up that old Curly Jaws, because I watched, I think it was a Twilight Zone from the 80s episode where this guy was a relative of John F. Kennedy, and he was able to time travel as well. This guy was. So he was able to go back in time to the day that Kennedy got shot. And he saved Kennedy from getting shot. But when he did that, it was like the butterfly effect thing. It set a whole new thing in motion that caused worse things to happen. Like the day that he saved John F. Kennedy, there were a bunch of killer tornadoes in a certain area. And then it was going to make the stuff with Cuba was going to be worse, and all of that. So the guy had to go back and let things happen the way they did.
It's that's kind of stuff. Just it's crazy to think about. What does because if Kennedy never got shot, Lyndon B. Johnson would never become president. The war of Afghanistan probably wouldn't have, or not Afghanistan, fucking Vietnam. Yeah, it's it's just those ripple effects. It's you don't know what would have happened.
Yeah, and we all would want Kennedy to live. We would all want John Lennon not to get shot. But then you see things like that, even though they're fictionalized, it still gives you pause and kind of makes you think, well, what if somebody could stop somebody from being killed? What would happen?
Right. Yeah. I think John Lennon as well.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go on.
No, you go ahead. You go ahead.
I was going to say with John Lennon as well, I think he would have gone, if he was alive today, you think the guy had much more, he had a lot more talent than Paul McCartney, who's regarded as one of the best there on the planet, writing songs and that. I think Lennon would have been the best ever. I really do. Best songwriter ever to live, if he'd have carried on living.
I mean, I like Paul McCartney, but I totally agree with you, Darren, that I think
Lennon had the talent.
Lennon was the best songwriter. He was the best musician out of the two. And nobody can change my mind on that.
No.
And McCartney's talented, don't get me wrong. He's come out with some great stuff. I just think Lennon had that little bit extra. Can you imagine him alive today? He would have been you know,
Oh
top of his
gosh, he
game.
would be selling concerts out left and right.
Yeah.
He'd be. I think if he was, I think he would have got back with the Beatles. I think they would have done at least one reunion tour.
Yeah, probably, yeah.
And
Yeah.
I get angry because I think Lennon gets shit on a lot because he's not here to defend himself.
Right. Yeah.
And people just say the most horrible things about him. I'm sure Lennon made mistakes in his life. I mean, he had admitted to many of them.
Like nobody's perfect.
And yeah, it wasn't exactly great what he did to his first wife, just getting with Yoko and having an affair and all that stuff. But what's done is done. What's in the past is in the past. And a lot of regular guys have affairs. It's just that their stuff doesn't get plastered all over in public because you're not a famous person. So,
I think you could dig up shit on anyone if you look deep enough.
Definitely, yeah. You do enough digging, you will find it. Everybody's got skeletons in their closet.
Yeah, yeah. Some bigger than others, but yeah, I agree.
But I think at Lennon's heart, I think he was a good person. And I think that he wanted to have peace. People want to make fun of the stuff him and Yoko did, the bed-ins for peace and all that stuff. I really think that they thought at that time that they were going to make a change. I really do think that.
I think they were making a change,
Or like
people were. Go on, sorry.
Or like another one I like to talk about, like when you predict timelines, like what if Jimi Hendrix never died at 27? What if he lived to be like
Joplin,
yeah, Janis Joplin,
yeah, so many big stars died early.
Jim Morrison.
Yeah,
if these guys would live to be like 60 or 50,
Despite Jim Morrison's faults, Jim Morrison was a very creative and accomplished, and I think very intelligent man.
Yeah, and talented, yeah, as well.
Yeah. He just lived fast and died young.
Died young. Yeah. A lot of them did, didn't they?
Unfortunately, yeah.
Or there's also been I've seen things or what if say Pearl Harbor happened today,
right?
Or what if different times and different periods jumbled up and this event happened this time period and then you know what I'm saying, it's just stuff like that.
Yeah, like I was saying earlier with Hitler, I wouldn't be here now talking to you guys if he'd have won.
If he was alive today, if Hitler was alive today, doing the shit he was back then, oh my god.
Yeah, I doubt if actually think about it, any of us would have been here. It would have just been.
I wouldn't. No.
It would have been an Aryan race. That's all it would have been. Blonde-haired, blue-eyed people. He would have slaughtered everyone. Who didn't fit his criteria. He wanted that perfect world with that perfect person.
God, if he saw people with tattoos, he'd probably have a fucking stroke.
I don't know. Unless it's a swastika, he might be okay then.
Did y'all know that the swastika actually started out as a peace symbol?
No, I didn't.
No.
Because I'll tell you how I found this out. I think I was watching Janis Joplin perform, and I can't remember if it was like Big Brother and the Holding Company or which band she had at that time, but the drummer, I believe, had a swastika necklace on in this performance. And I apologize, I can't remember where they were performing at. And I was shocked and horrified because at that point in time, when I seen a swastika, I naturally thought of Hitler and the horrible things that Hitler did. And so I did a little research on it. It turns out that before the Nazis adopted it, the swastika was a symbol of peace.
Right.
And they adopted it as their symbol, and now everybody thinks, oh, swastikas equals evil because Hitler
Yeah.
adopted that symbol.
Have you heard of a guy called Louis Theroux over there in America? Have you heard of a UK guy who makes documentaries?
That name sounds familiar too, Darren.
Well, he basically made a load of documentaries over here in the UK and in America, and in one of them, he actually talks to all these Americans who are literally into Hitler. They hate black people. They're very like all into Hitler. So he kind of, I wouldn't say he goes undercover, but he kind of gets their confidence at first, talking to them, and then he sort of outs them as the documentary goes on. And there's a lot of people over in America and the UK, that still believe in Hitler. It's crazy, like, cults and everything.
John says, I'm back. Whoa. He says, what are we talking now? Beatles and Nazis?
I think we've covered just about everything.
Oh, yeah.
People who tuned in to listen to our horror tales when we were younger.
John says, I'm going to need some yummy gummies before the night.
We all need the yummy gummies.
Oh, my gosh. Well, speaking of that, guys, and I hate to do this to John because I think he went away and came back, but I do have to work tomorrow. And I'm sure that it's getting like, what time is it over there, Darren?
4 a.m.
It's 4 a.m. So.
I'm just a night owl anyway. Like,
oh, wow. And I know Curly Jaws is going to, did you say you were off tomorrow, Curly Jaws? So you'll be able to get some sleep. But, man, I have enjoyed this. This was a lot of fun. I'm glad I decided to do a stream tonight.
Yeah, I'll have to do this a bit more often, maybe once a month or something, just shoot the shit.
Yeah, kind of like, I didn't really want to call it a round table because that's what the Dead Pit does. But I was like, I don't know if anybody's in our circles anyway has ever done a stream talking about why specifically we like horror.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, it's Valentine's Day. We'll just do that. So, but I do want to thank Darren and Old Curly Jaws for being on live on the stream with me. I want to thank everybody that came in the chat. We've had a very lively discussion over a lot of different things, which I thoroughly enjoy. But yeah, I'm gonna have to catch some Z's. So I won't be completely dead tomorrow. What I did mainly today was I spent about 3 to 5 hours setting up printers at 3 different clinics today. So
all right.
Basically all I did today. I didn't have time to do anything else after that. But so I'm going to try to get some sleep, finish up watching the Tales from the Dark Side episodes so I know what I'm talking about tomorrow night when me and TJ cover the first season of Tales from the Dark Side. So I hope many of you guys will, if not all of you, will join us for that. And with all that being said, I am going to skedaddle on out of here for the night, and I will see everyone on the flip side. Have a great
good one, guys.
Have a good one.
Have a good night, guys.
Bye.
Bye.